Welcome to a sparkling new podcast from Mike Parry and Mike Graham. We're the two Mikes.
Actually, it sounds even better when you do it Dullsville, because when you try to be happy and excited and energetic, you sound pathetic.
Thanks.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Hawksby and Jacobs are currently enjoying 2 weeks all-inclusive holiday in Wales they won in a ladies' magazine. So Mike Parry and Mike Graham are here instead.
On Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the two Mikes. It's almost time to hand back the reins of power to Hawksby and Jacobs. We're back on Monday. It's going to be a scorcher this weekend, so we'll be giving you some tips on how to fire up the barbie and avoid turning up for work looking like a lobster. We're going up to Leicester for the first of the open-top bus parades, and we're talking to Joe Cole about his latest football adventure, moving to America to play for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And of course, we'll be celebrating Liverpool's great win last night, or at least one of us will be. 08717 22 33 44. You're listening to the two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say that it's time to say a very good afternoon to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Parry.
Well, good afternoon, Mike, but in limited circumstances for me.
Limited?
We're now in the summer,
Yes.
and the temperature's rising.
Well, you did say it was just round the corner yesterday,
Well,
didn't
I
you?
did say it's just round the corner. Now it's hit with a vengeance. So now I'm into that terrible era now where you come out of your house in a coat because you come out early, OK? But an hour...
What do you mean you come out early?
Well, I come out early, you know, if I'm busy and I've got things to do. Oh, this morning I was out at 7:30.
7:30?
Yeah, and it was, you know, it was like just fresh. And I thought...
Bit of a breeze?
No, it wasn't a breeze, but it was fresh, and I had a blazer on.
A blazer?
Yeah, an English blazer. I bought
Did it have
an English
a badge
blazer
on it?
No, of course not.
Has it got brass buttons?
Well, I have one in the wardrobe that does have brass buttons, but it wasn't my brass button blazer. It was what I call my casual blazer.
Really?
It, you know, instead of having flaps over the pockets on the jacket, it's just open pockets, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? But it's very attractive.
Fascinating. What size is it?
Well, I don't actually know.
Right, okay. Well, when you look in the inside...
Well, it's in a size that fits me. It fits me perfectly.
Okay.
But anyway, the point of my story is...
Yeah, what is the
it's made
point?
of a great material. So
Made of wool, presumably.
Eh?
Should be made of wool, shouldn't it?
Well, I suppose so, yeah, or cotton, I suppose, I don't know. But anyway, the point of my story is that I also have to carry, like, a shoulder bag with me to keep my documents and journals and things in, yeah. And,
very important at 7:30 in the morning.
Well, it is if you're going somewhere to
You never know who you're going to meet, do you?
No, I'm sitting down at a meeting with people about things I have to do.
Sort of Eastern European Republic.
No.
Walk around with your papers.
No. I had things to do. I had people to see. But the problem is, I come out of that meeting at 10 o'clock and the sun's coming up, and then I have to take my very expensive blazer off and fold it up and stick it into my shoulder bag, and consequently, it gets creased.
Yeah.
So I won't then wear it for the rest of the day until I've taken it home and had it done.
And what time did you get home then from this blazer episode?
About, I would say... 10:30?
10:30?
Yeah.
So you were out for 3 hours?
I was out for about 3 hours, yeah. And then I was away afterwards.
I noticed you weren't wearing a blazer when you came into work today.
No, it's stuffed in my bag.
Oh, it's still in the bag?
No, I've taken it out and hung it up to see if the creases drop out,
Well,
but they won't.
Why didn't you drop it at home when you went back at 10:30?
Because you never know in this country, do you? You
What do you
just
mean?
never know.
Well, it's not going to suddenly go from 23 degrees down to 10.
Well, it's a conundrum, a riddle wrapped up in a whatever, you know.
Enigma.
But anyway, what I was going to say is, you know, a bit like...
You didn't do anything to avoid talking about Liverpool, weren't you?
No, I'll talk about Liverpool right now. Congratulations to Liverpool getting through to a final in Basel, which will be a momentous
Basel.
evening for that club. Now, what I was going to say is...
Quite a small stadium to have such a big event in, isn't it?
What's the capacity? It's 27?
It's around about 30, I think.
30, OK, yeah. Well, you know...
Could be as much as 36 now.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder why UEFA don't just have a rota of acceptable stadiums for finals of European competitions.
Well, I think they do.
Well, no, I don't think they do, because
they do.
Basel have been used before, has it?
Well, I don't know if it's been used before, but it's obviously on the rota now.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be. You need a bigger one.
Well,
Liverpool...
they probably want to go to a different country, don't they?
Yeah, but that's a bit like saying, you know, it doesn't matter where we go.
Also, like sending the World Cup to Qatar, that kind of thing.
Well, it is, yes, because to be honest, I bet you 50 or 60,000 Liverpool fans would have travelled to a stadium that had a capacity of 120,000 without a shadow of a doubt.
Of course.
So there's going to be
there's going to be a bit of a shortage of tickets, I would imagine.
A lot of Liverpool fans will go. They tend to go and want to be in the area where it's all happening, in the city and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, look, just to finish on this.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of the blazer
You know,
story.
like a werewolf person...
A werewolf?
A werewolf person turns into a werewolf when the full moon comes up.
Yeah, well, it's a myth, isn't it?
It's a myth, but I'm saying...
They aren't actually werewolves.
You remember the Michael Jackson video? I mean, it's brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
so what I'm saying is...
fiction.
What happens to me is when the sun comes out and it's almost like, midday.
Yeah, noon.
High noon, when
Just
only...
get your 10-gallon hat out.
Yeah, it's good thinking, that. When only Mad Dogs and Englishmen come out, I wilt. I am like blubbery jelly.
Yeah.
And I become...
to be fair, most of the time that's what you
I
like.
become sloth. I become...
Slothful.
I become slothful. I become lesser-witted, slower thinking.
Yeah. Generally just dumber.
Somewhat muzzy-headed.
Yeah.
Well,
some would say that. Some would say that that's how you are normally. Actually,
no, they wouldn't. You see, because in this air-conditioned studio, I'm back to top form. But I do find it very difficult to exist in a world where there's heat. So that's why I've never made any plans to move to Marbella.
Okay. Well, don't worry, because we're going to have some tips a little bit later on as to how to avoid getting overheated over the weekend.
Well, I'm very happy.
Because it's barbecue weekend. It's the first proper barbecue.
Well, this is
weekend.
rubbish.
Although
Barbecue food is rubbish.
I have to say, I've had several barbecues already. In fact, I had barbecue on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, well, you have barbecues.
Even though it's raining.
Yeah, I know, but you do that because it means you can stand outside all the time, so you can chain smoke cigarettes.
There is some truth to that.
And drink.
It's not much fun in the rain, though.
And drink.
It's not much fun when you have to barbecue wearing an anorak.
And
what I had to do.
But you can drink voluminous amounts of grog.
Yeah, I can do that inside as well.
No, you do it outside too, so that you can try and convince your family you're not a wino, which everybody else knows you are.
How about this from Robin Berry? Less of the projection, please. Mike, he says, tell Porky his blazer will fit like a glove. Sticks out in 5 places.
That's very funny. Thank you very much indeed. Now, as for Liverpool, I have to say...
What? Derek in Pencoed has sent us a note as well.
The bog cleaner.
And we're doing a little... don't be so rude to him. We're doing it because he might be showing up on Saturday night.
Oh, that'd be nice if he was.
Tram shed. He says,
right.
So Porky thinks that 7:30 is early. I'd already done 3 hours work by then.
Well, I'm very glad you did. And for 5 or 6 years, mate, when I used to do the breakfast show on this particular station, I was up at 3:30 every morning.
Really?
And I liked it. It's the world is yours at that time of the morning.
Yeah, I would struggle to get up that early. Then. You're going to be all right. Would you mind not calling? Funnily enough, I've got a list of things that annoy you in the office.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that annoys people in the office the most is people that cough and splutter all the time.
Well, they shouldn't be in the office doing that.
Well, you've just done it, so kindly desist.
I didn't. I can assure you, if I was carrying a sort of virus that was injurious or possibly poisonous to my fellow man, I would not be here.
That's not true, because you came in for a whole week once on the overnight show and you gave me your horrible...
Rubbish.
Yes, you did.
What's happened in the local elections, by the way, because I haven't been keeping up?
Well, they're still counting them, I think. So,
right. Is anybody winning or losing or anything?
Labour haven't done terribly well in Scotland.
Oh, okay.
They've come third.
Oh,
which
right.
is pretty embarrassing for them, but I don't think they're doing too badly elsewhere.
Okay.
But we won't get the mayoral election in London result until later tonight.
No, we won't. Now then, we've got a great show today, and it's our last show, actually, before we go back to the Late Show, which, of course, I'm looking forward to, because it's always a pleasure to mix the hours up a bit. But
and in between, and as a sort of a celebration of the end of the 2-week stint that we've done filling in for Hawksby and Jacobs, who are back on Monday, who've been very kind to let us invade their studio.
Indeed.
We've got a little video out on the Two Mics TV, which is on YouTube, but also we've tweeted it out as well on the Two Mics, and it's about our favourite guests that we've had over the course of the last 2 weeks. I don't think we need to say any more, really, do we?
Well, not really. Except to say...
You should go and have a look at it.
Yeah, go and have a look at it, please, and you won't be surprised to know it is...
Don't tell anyone who it is. That's not the point.
It is...
Don't say it.
A chap concerned with the world
Don't say it.
Food.
Don't say it. The name has been banned from ever being used again on air at TalkSport.
It has, actually.
Yeah, because we've effectively audio-blocked him. I think that's
it's not Aldo Zilli, is it?
It isn't Aldo Zilli.
He was on yesterday.
No, he was on yesterday.
Yeah.
He gets a mention.
He gets a mention because he made a few barbed references to this particular person.
The man who shall not be named. Stop coughing.
No, just stuck in my throat, don't worry.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Gary Gillespie, former Liverpool player, of course, looking back at a triumphant game last night up at Anfield. Liverpool through to the final of the Europa League. Could be Champions League football for him next year. TalkSport, we are the Two Mics. We're going to talk to Gary Gillespie very shortly about last night's Liverpool game. First, though, here's Ben Fletcher with some breaking news.
Absolutely, probably rather unsurprisingly, Tottenham midfielder Moussa Dembele has accepted that FA charge of violent conduct for the incident involving Diego Costa. That's been confirmed by Spurs head coach Mauricio Pochettino. It's understood that Spurs and Moussa Dembele are going to contest the possibility of more than a 3-game ban. So it seems like he accepts that he's done wrong, but he doesn't accept he should have more than a 3-game ban for it. So watch this space.
Well, I mean, there's not a situation there, is there, where if you hold your hands up, you get a reduced sentence or anything like that?
I wouldn't have thought so, because it seems to me if Dembele says, well, I don't want anything more than a 3-game ban, and he gets a 5-game ban and then appeals it, the FA could give him more of a ban because they deem the appeal frivolous.
They haven't quite grasped the crime and punishment scenario, have they?
No.
I mean, if you admit to a crime, you have to then leave it up to the people who are adjudicating on it to decide how much the punishment should be.
Absolutely.
You can't go, shoot someone and go, I wouldn't like to be sentenced to life in prison.
Yeah.
I'd like to be,
Let's just do 4 years,
just
please.
a couple of years.
Didn't like the shirt he was wearing today. Yeah.
So you now admit that Dembele did in fact gouge Costa's
I will not.
eye, even though he's admitted it.
He has not.
Yes, he has.
He has not.
He's admitted the charge.
It's hands to face, and it was on the cheekbone, but there is no evidence whatsoever, even from
So why has he admitted the charge then?
Excuse me. Well, the charge is aggravated assault. Okay,
Violent conduct.
Your violent conduct, which is aggravated assault, right? But what I can tell you is this: there has not been a word from the victim. What's the name of the victim?
Diego Costa.
Absolutely, not a word from him that a finger went into his eye socket or his eyeball.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I do know that because if he had, it would have been public knowledge by now, wouldn't it?
Necessarily. He might have said it to the board.
I think you'll find I'm right.
Yeah, I think you'll find you're wrong. You should just admit it because we've only got 2.5 hours of the show left to go. Let's talk to Gary Gillespie.
Indeed.
Former Liverpool player himself, of course. Fantastic night at Anfield. It all looked relatively easy, did it not, Gary?
It went as smoothly as probably what it could have done. I thought it was a really good performance from Liverpool. Went about the business really in a proper and professional manner, and it turned out very comfortable in the end. I don't think any game like that is plain sailing. I think you were always a little bit concerned, even at 2-0, that Villarreal might pop up and score. But in fairness, they didn't really look as if they were going to trouble Liverpool right throughout the game. And as I say, I thought it was a really professional performance from Liverpool.
Yeah, I thought the opposition looked overwhelmed, actually, Gary, to be honest. I mean, if Mr. Klopp's decided that the 12th man in these sort of games is going to be the atmosphere at Anfield, the crowd, the passion, the sheer persuasion of those people inside the stadium, it certainly worked last night.
He's got them up. He's got them really revved up for it. Before the game, the line of fans cheering the bus in and things like that, and it certainly has. It's worked for them, but I think the players have got an onus as well on them to perform. And players win games. Crowds don't win games. They certainly can help, and I certainly think the atmosphere within Anfield last night that the players actually created, because they put Villarreal under a lot of pressure early on in the game. They hassled them, they hurried them, they closed them down, they forced them into mistakes, and when you do that, the crowd get certainly on your side. A couple of shots at goals, a couple of really strong challenges, and I don't think Villarreal did themselves any favours. They kind of lost the plot a little bit. They lost their cool, they lost their calmness, and even their manager on the touchline, you could see that he looked a bag of nerves, to be honest with you. Now, whether that was the way that Liverpool had started or whether it was the influence of the crowd, who knows? But certainly, I don't think it can do you any harm. And, you just need to look back to the Borussia Dortmund game, and it certainly helps if you've got your crowd right behind you.
Absolutely right. And watching Daniel Sturridge last night, Gary, he was so thrilled to score. I mean, people have said, the way he celebrated that shows how much it meant to him, to show Klopp that that's what he could do, and maybe to show Roy Hodgson as well.
I don't think he needs to show anybody what he can do. I think, you get Daniel Sturridge fit and raring to go and get him out on the pitch. We know what he's about. We know he's got the ability. We know he's got the talent. And quite easily last night he could have had a hat-trick, if not more. He had umpteen chances to score. Even the own goal, it was a gilt-edged chance that he kind of missed there. And then a couple of one-on-ones with the goalkeeper. So I don't think Daniel Sturridge has to prove anything. The only thing that Daniel Sturridge has to prove is his fitness. And that has been the case for him since he was a young boy at Chelsea and Man City. But certainly when he's on the pitch, he's an international class player. And at his best form, you would pick him for England every day of the week.
Yeah, but will Mr. Klopp take him, under his wing as enthusiastically as he should?
Well, who knows? I don't think anybody can be offered preferential treatment, Mike. I think you have to treat your players exactly the same.
Well, I agree with that, except that when you get the feeling that, what's the expression you footballers use? The coach doesn't really fancy him. There's still an element of that about, isn't there, or a suspicion?
Well, I think we had this at Liverpool a long time ago with Rafa Benitez and Steven Gerrard. That, sometimes Steven Gerrard didn't feel as if he was wanted or loved as much as maybe what he should have been under Rafa. I grew up in an era where, players weren't loved and we weren't respected like that. You you were just told to go and do.
Just got on with it.
If you didn't do the business, then you were out of the team.
Yeah.
If you did the business, you played on a regular basis, and that was your reward. And the reward was being successful. So we weren't really mollycoddled in any shape or form. So I don't really see why players at these days should be mollycoddled, to be honest with you. And I don't see how Jurgen Klopp should make a special case for any sort of player.
Yeah.
But it's different times, and players have different ideas, different egos, and I think it is very much an individual kind of thing with an ego that a lot of them have these days.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's going to be very tough to beat Sevilla, a team that have won this competition the last 2 years. But Champions League place awaits if Liverpool can do it. Are you surprised, Gary? We were talking about it earlier that they've chosen such a small venue for the final because already, the governing body of UEFA have said that they don't want fans coming to the stadium if they haven't got tickets. But the St Jakob Park is only going to hold 36,000, so there's probably only about 10,000. Liverpool fans are going to get tickets.
Well, again, I think this decision is obviously made very early on in the season, and I mean I think anybody with a logical kind of sensible kind of mind would think it's absolutely crazy. Both massive clubs, Sevilla, I don't exactly know how many their stadium holds, but I think it's quite a big stadium, isn't it? Liverpool certainly. There ain't going to be just 10,000 Liverpool supporters go to Basel, that's for sure. Now, whether they get in or whatever, there'll be more than 10,000 in Basel come the 18th of May. I think it's one of these things that UEFA make up the decision very early on. And I don't think they can obviously change it.
Well, I think it's disrespectful to the competition because I know they've made the same mistake in the past in the Champions League and European Cup, but they wouldn't these days. But, I think they're saying, well, it's a secondary competition. But when you get a club the size of Liverpool, they could take 40,000 fans, Liverpool, quite seriously. And
Klopp's saying they could take 100,000.
Yeah, they could take 100,000. I agree. They could and they might. And when you look at the record of Liverpool in European trophies, Gary, they've won 8 out of 11 major European finals. Their fans will be so excited to be in another one that it begs the question why it ever happened. But it's sorted now, and that puts terrible pressure on Liverpool and the people who run Liverpool to try and make it work.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the season ticket holders. I don't know how they're actually going to distribute the tickets.
That's right.
And,
there's 27,000 of them. I think
exactly. Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Administration is going to be an absolute headache for them. And I think you're absolutely right. I think when you look at the clubs that are actually in Europa League, there's some big major names in European football that are playing in that competition. And it's maybe a little bit unfair to Basel and Swiss football, but you would maybe just expect to be a bit of common sense that, with a lot of big sides and the prospect of them getting to the final, you maybe just have a wee look and think and pick a bigger stadium.
I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely right. Gary, thank you very much indeed for taking time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Gary Gillespie, the former Liverpool player, of course, and I'm told already that there are, even though the allocations haven't been formally sorted out,
go on.
there are already packages being offered, $4,500 a ticket for the final because they're going to be in such short supply.
I wonder where they come from, those tickets then.
Well, these are packages that people are able to offer, even though technically it's against the law.
Yeah, but where are they getting their tickets from?
It's against the law. They will get tickets somehow.
Yeah, they will.
But nobody knows how that happens, but it's illegal. Well, but it still goes on.
They'll get them from what we might have called in our American days scalpers.
Yeah.
We might give them a ticket for £1,000, they'll bung $3,000 on top of that, make it a $4,500 package, and that's terribly discriminatory to the working man in Liverpool who pays, $420.
Well, it's discriminatory to anyone.
25 quid for his season ticket and goes to every game.
Yeah,
terribly
exactly
discriminatory.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we've got lots more coming up.
Certainly
we're going to be
have.
talking to Gareth A. Davies ahead of the Amir Khan fight this weekend. Paddy Power's on. Joe Cole's going to be on as well, talking about his adventure in America at Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Loads to do. This is TalkSport. This afternoon, thanks to Papa John's, you have not one but 3 chances to win a slice of £300 in cash. Every hour we will be asking million-themed questions. All you need to do is text the correct answer and you could win £100 in cash.
Indeed you could. Now today's first question is this one. In December 2014, which New Zealand All Black rugby star joined Racing Metro, breaking the £1 million transfer mark? Was it A, Dan Carter, or was it B, Conrad Smith?
Text the word rugby followed by A for Dan Carter or followed by B for Conrad Smith to 81089 before 1:45. Text costs 50p and standard network charges apply. Visit talksport.com for our full terms and conditions.
Jacob's Millions on TalkSport with Papa John's. Sign up now for your chance to win €1 million at www.amillionfans.com. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply.
Now, we did mention this yesterday, so we don't dwell on it too much. But today is, of course, the final day of publication of The New Day.
Yeah, it's sad, really. I'm sorry.
Which is a shame. Well, in a way, it is, but also, I mean, it wasn't really around for long enough to get into people's psyche. So it's not as if they were shutting down the Times or the Daily Telegraph or something like that.
I totally have to agree with you, but there's a human element to that. And the human element to that are the 40 people who were working on the paper full-time who now find themselves titleless.
Well, hopefully they'll be absorbed.
Well, I hope so. But in our business, in our industry, you carry pride in the title that you work for. I'm very proud to work for TalkSport.
Yeah.
I was very proud to work for the Daily Express. You know, and people have a badge of sort of, identity when they work for a particular organisation.
Badge and tone.
Badge and tone.
Used to be said by one of the former bosses of yours.
Oh, who's that?
I'm not going to say his name.
Cyniclus?
It wasn't him, no. Why do you have to give him his name away?
Well, never mind.
No,
anyway, the point of the story is, look,
never mind. It's not about you.
They are victims of the guy right at the top of the organisation who decided we've got a bit...
Yeah, we did all this.
a bit of spare capacity. We've got to put out a new paper. No, I'm not coughing. I'm not coughing.
You just coughed again.
No, it's the air conditioning.
I wanted to get to the personal listography before,
right, let's do that.
Because it is the last official personal listography.
Of course it is,
I can confirm that as of next week, we will be doing our own in-house personal listography.
Every day.
Every night on the show.
Every night on the show, that's right, absolutely.
And so we might even invite people to actually...
submit them.
Submit ideas for the best three things that we want to talk about.
Yes, please,
on any given night. However, for the last ever outgoing New Day personal listography, list 3 things you are thankful for.
Yes.
Go on. Question 1.
Well, I would say good health, but I haven't got good health, so that's...
So you're not thankful for that,
I'm not thankful for that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right, hey?
There's nothing wrong with you.
I'm not going to get into that again. That's a 2-hour discussion. Right, 3 things I'm thankful for.
One of them should be me.
No. The love of my family.
Sorry, why do you think...
You
haven't got a family.
Why do you think that's funny?
You haven't got a family.
What do you mean I've got a family?
Well, what family have you got?
I've got sisters, nieces, nephews, mother.
But you have no family of your own, though, do you?
They are my family.
Oh, right, OK.
For goodness sake, man. I mean, what a terrible thing to say.
I seem to remember that your sister...
Right off my whole family.
When I asked your sister, who was kind enough to put me up in her palatial mansion down in
her 7-bedroom house,
7 ensuite bathrooms.
That's right, yes.
When I said to her, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life?
Yeah.
She said, having you as a brother.
Yeah, I think she was joking, actually, at the time.
She was.
Yeah. No, she wouldn't say that in reality.
Right, second one.
Right, the second one to be thankful for is the fact that I have managed to make myself...
Con your way through life without ever being found out.
No. To make myself comfortable in mind and body when I wake up in the morning.
You call that comfortable?
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is...
What do you mean?
Well, I'm wealthy.
Mean?
I'm wealthy.
Oh, you're wealthy?
And I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
How wealthy are you?
I can't spend enough money now, between now and the day I die, to become poor.
Well, I can help you out there.
No,
I could absolutely help you out there.
I so fear poverty. I made
sure
that
story from Sydney, by the way, about the student who, by mistake, got $2.5 million
in his
deposited
bank
in her account.
In her account, sorry.
And she spent it all.
Yeah, and then they said, well, you shouldn't have done it.
How do you spend $2.5 million?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that is some pretty good going.
You could have a gambling problem, couldn't you? Something like that, maybe.
I don't think she did. She just spent it on bags and shoes and all the rest of it.
Good for her.
All right, so you're thankful so far for the love of your family, for being wealthy.
That's right.
This is really going to improve your odds of being liked and likened to the man of the people.
Yeah.
What's the third reason you're thankful?
Then
you don't want to say me.
No, I don't want to say you, definitely not. The third one, without doubt, is that I was born an Evertonian.
Born an Evertonian?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes, absolutely.
What are you thankful about that for?
Well, because it's been a way of life.
It must really grind your gears to see Liverpool in the final of the Europa League.
It doesn't.
Especially if they can get into the Champions
League. No,
it
doesn't at all, because I've said this before. I have no envy or malice towards any other football club or their fans, because I don't want to be a fan of that club. I didn't worry about Manchester United winning all them titles and all that, because... They're not Everton, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Well,
of course, I'd want to be more successful.
Well, I think the problem is Everton's so far down the pecking order because you're not really competing at that same level, are you?
I would love my club to have been more successful, but the point is I can't share in the joy of any other club because I have no emotional attachment to it, so I don't care.
Did you not say that if Everton didn't make it or didn't win the FA Cup final, that you would somehow find yourself selling one of your properties or something? You were going to do something, weren't you?
No, I don't think so.
You were going to do something. You were so sure they were going to win the FA Cup.
Well, I hoped so much they would, but it didn't happen. So it's, another season.
What about poor old Oxlade-Chamberlain, by the way? What do you make of that story?
Was this a training ground injury?
It would seem so.
Yeah. That's very unfortunate for the
You have
lad.
to say it's another terrible injury at Arsenal, though, isn't it? Where they seem to have more terrible injuries than most.
I'm only thinking that the positive aspect of it, as far as I'm concerned, might be that might now mean that...
Well, there's only positive for Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Well, it's not positive for Oxlade-Chamberlain, but I just wonder whether that will now open the doors to, you know what happens, a player comes in by default and suddenly becomes a star of the show or something like that, I don't know. And as so many players have emerged in the Spurs and the Leicester camps, whether or not it'll open the doors for one of them, who have been knocking on the door, but Oxlade-Chamberlain might have been ahead of them to come in.
But it's a terrible outcome for him.
Or even Theo Walcott might assure his place.
Yeah, well, exactly, it could do. But we will find all that out in the fullness of time.
Indeed.
Well, we can ask Joe Cole about all that.
Yeah, of course we will,
Going to a big tournament.
Listen, talking about sporting aspects and that sort of thing, sort of on the fringe of it, have you ever been paintballing?
No.
Because I've heard of a terrible story I came across. An 18-year-old lad who was a student at Middlesex University, I think.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. I'm sorry. He went to Middlesex University Hospital, which is not far from here, is it? Isn't it up near Euston?
I've no idea.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. But he went to one of these
It'd be in Middlesex, wouldn't it?
No, it's not. Well, London used to be in Middlesex, didn't it?
Well, parts of it did.
Yeah, that's why it's called the Middlesex University Hospital. So this lad goes paintballing. He gets hit by a paintball in the back, and it's ruptured his liver. So he's in a bad way. And the point is...
It seems to me to be one of those things that people do, they either love it or they just are not interested in doing it at all.
Well, no, but once again, people go on these ridiculous, stag weekends. Oh, let's all act like, men and all this kind of stuff. And they either go and get bladderated in sort of Czechoslovakia or something, or they go off go-karting and paintballing. But this paintballing thing, I had a look at this to see how dangerous it is. A paintball, when you aim it at another person, travels at 300 feet a second, right?
Yeah.
And what it says here is, it says...
North Middlesex University Hospital is in North 18, by the way.
North 18?
Sterling Way.
Is that Tottenham?
It could be up that way, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Up near the North Circular Road.
Anyway, in one of my journals, which is called the BMJ Case Report, OK? This is where I picked
British
it up.
Medical Journal.
British Medical Journal, that's right, yeah. It says this is the first report of paintball-related traumatic liver injury. It said organ injuries have been documented 3 times before when operations had been required to correct serious damage to the kidney, the scrotum and the penis.
What?
But this is the first...
What?
Well, I'm sorry, that's what it is, but this is the first liver damage, right?
Yeah, right.
But I mean, it's getting more and more serious. They said paintball participants should be aware of the game's possible dangers.
People do say it's very, very sore if you get hit by one of the pellets in the face or anything like that.
Paintball rounds travel at speeds of up to 300 feet per second, and no players are given protective wear. There have been incidents resulting in blindness, right? Blindness.
Well, if it hits you in the eye, yeah.
And other facial injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why anybody would do it. I mean, it's just mad. It's madness. It shouldn't be allowed anyway.
Well, I don't want to start banning things, but I mean, as long as they wear protective clothing, which they normally do, but the trouble is there's sometimes a bit of skin exposed.
No, do you know what the problem is, Mike?
We've run out of time.
Don't even worry about it. When you invent...
I always worry about the time.
When you invent games where people start firing things or attacking other people, or the psychos go and join up under the guise of, I'm a paintball fan, but I'm not really.
Is that what you think?
I'm actually a secret serial killer, and this is my first step on my path to...
You're taking it a bit too seriously.
No, I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
You've gone mad. 2 weeks of daytime radio has done you in.
I don't think
This is
so.
Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Max says this on the Twitter, wondering whether starting first-team football too early relates to niggling injuries down the line, i.e. Walcott, Owen, Chamberlain, etc. Well, I mean, there could be some truth to that. I mean, Alan Brazil, funnily enough, was talking the other day about the difference now in the pitch and how, because it's got this kind of weave now through the turf, that it's actually more likely to damage ligaments and damage knees and ankles and all that kind of thing because of the way that it twists your legs.
That's funny you should say that.
Is it?
I was in a town in Stockrogue Surrey yesterday, and I was going about my business, and a lady came up to me, very good-looking lady.
Business?
Yeah,
Were you carrying your blazer in your bag at the time?
No, because I didn't have my blazer with me. And she said, hello, and she's waving a leaflet around.
Yeah.
I said, hello. She said, wax and weave, £14.
Wax and weave?
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, I didn't know. So I said, sorry, what are you talking about?
She's talking about maybe weaving your hair or something.
No, my eyebrows.
Your eyebrows?
She wanted to do my eyebrows.
Why?
Well, I didn't realise I was now standing outside a beauty
Well, were you
clinic.
just standing there kind of staring in or something?
No, I was walking
Because
past.
You've often described how you stand outside kebab shops looking in longingly but never actually going in to buy
No, I
one.
don't. I've never had a kebab in my life, and I don't
but you've
want
told
one,
me
thank
that
you.
you stood outside the shops
Rubbish.
looking in.
Well, not a nonsense. She came
Still
towards me.
coughing.
She came towards me and put this weave and wax theory to me. £14 for gentlemen, and she said,
£14 per eyebrow, £7 each.
£7 each. And
Or three for you.
And I said, no, I've never thought about that, please. She said, no, she said, you should. You've got lovely eyebrows.
Apparently, it is the thing
Come and have
to
them
make
done.
them. If you get them weaved, they look sort of darker and more dense. I think.
Apparently, yeah. Anyway, I
I
turned
think
it
you
down.
look ridiculous because your eyebrows are actually the only thing on your head that's not white.
What?
Your eyebrows are the only thing on your head that's not white. Your beard's white, your hair's white,
Yeah.
and your eyebrows are actually kind of dark grey.
Well, no, I mean, they're not really. I mean,
Well, they are.
My hair's not white. My hair's...
Your hair is white.
No, it's salt and pepper. Salt and pepper.
No, well, it's
Are you
all
getting
salt.
your hair cut before we go to
Salt.
Cardiff, by the
No.
way? You're
I'm
not?
not going to get it cut. No, I'm going to be driving down to Sussex later.
Yeah.
I'm coming from Sussex to Cardiff on Saturday.
You're right.
There's going to be no time for me to
We'll
get a
just
haircut.
go to your hairdresser first thing tomorrow morning, Saturday.
No, I don't have a
Get it done.
hairdresser down there.
Right, okay.
My hairdresser was in London.
Anyway,
Was that
so...
a problem if I don't have a haircut?
Well, you do look a bit scruffy, I have to say.
I don't mind looking
But that's
scruffy.
your look,
Yeah.
to sort of stroll on the stage as though, the world is your oyster and all that kind of stuff.
There are people who saw you on Sky News the other day. You're still coughing, by the way.
No, not come.
You just did.
No.
Looking like a tramp was the way it was described.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that was after you'd been in makeup for half an hour.
It was, actually, and I had a very good suit on and a polo shirt, so I take no notice.
You had a blue shirt on, which was undone to about halfway down.
That
Like
was-
sort
that
of
was-
Peter
that-
Wingard style.
That was a polo shirt.
It wasn't a polo shirt.
was a polo
No,
shirt.
It was a Ralph Lauren shirt.
A Ralph Lauren.
polo shirt
Yeah,
is
that's
what
polo,
I'm
isn't
wearing,
it?
which is a short-sleeved shirt with a collar. That's
It was
a
a
shirt.
Ralph Lauren shirt anyway. That's a good enough shirt for me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it if I were you.
All right. William says Porky should get a rucksack for his blazer.
That's a good idea, except I wouldn't wear a rucksack under any circumstances. Why don't people have head suitcases that they can wear on top of their head?
Head suitcases?
Yeah.
Well, why would you do that?
Well, because that doesn't take up any more space on a tube train.
Yeah,
Or
but you can't get in the
on a
train,
train.
though. Well, then you can't get in.
Yeah, you can. I'm only talking about sort of 3 or 4 inches, but it would be a container. Well, it's only like a helmet.
Yeah, but if it was somebody your size, you'd be bumping into everybody else at shoulder line.
No, I
height,
wouldn't. Don't
you?
be ridiculous. Don't be
Well,
ridiculous.
you're below average height.
No, I'm not below average height.
Yeah, right.
I am actually just a little bit above average height. But anyway, we won't talk
For a
about
woman,
that.
maybe. James says this:
Yeah.
given Porky has so much cash, how about you leave some in his will to all his loyal TalkSport listeners?
No, I don't. Honestly, you perpetuate this myth about cash and all. All I meant was
You
that
just said you were wealthy.
I meant wealthy in terms of having a family, of
haven't got a family.
being able to do things that I enjoy doing.
Like
of
what?
Feeling like working and going out and socialising with friends and all that kind of stuff.
You haven't got any friends either.
Funny enough,
You don't want friends.
I replied to one of Jay, what's his name, as tweets.
Don't
on
say
that.
his name.
No, I won't say his name.
Name's
no.
not allowed.
But because he sent a tweet out, saying that all these guys' friends are ganging up against me.
Yeah.
And I just sent him a tweet
I
back
saw that.
saying I haven't got any.
You haven't got
I haven't
any.
got any friends, so
No.
don't worry about it.
Which is
It's
true.
definitely not me.
And you don't want any.
No, I don't necessarily. A friend in need is a blinking nuisance in my
What
view.
you've always said. Christopher says this: stop coughing, Porky. Should I wear a face mask at the tram shed tomorrow?
No, don't worry about that, pal. I'll be absolutely fine. It's just a change. Literally, it's a change between the intense heat outside and then coming into a air-conditioned area and the confusion that reeks with your system.
You
That's
should check
something.
actually the weather in Cardiff because I don't know if it's going to be as
It's
warm.
not quite as warm.
Because it's raining up north as well at the moment, isn't it? So, I mean, there is this problem sometimes when you talk
It's
about how great the
raining in
weather.
my heart.
Don't sing. I'm going to start telling you about all the things you shouldn't do
Yeah.
if you're working with people, because singing is also one of the things that most annoys people when they're at work with other
Do you know
people.
the most annoying thing for me? And I would like to punch somebody in the face if it
I'll
happens.
try not to be resorting to violence.
It's the whistlers. I cannot stand the whistlers. Can you?
Whistlers?
A whistler, somebody who walks into a room or walks into a pub or walks into a shop or something and to give the image of, oh, what a cheery soul I am, they're whistling. I feel like knocking all the teeth out so they can't whistle anymore.
It's always violence with
No,
you.
I mean, I wouldn't do it, obviously.
No, obviously not.
It's a metaphorical statement. I wouldn't indulge in any violence, physical or otherwise, against any other human being.
Yeah.
Well, not unless, they were trying to attack me or something, obviously, in self-defence.
Yeah. Then you'd hide.
But I do find whistlers so annoying. I can't stand it. If I'm in a queue in a shop, excuse me, I was in Wilkinson's the other day, and the guy behind me is whistling,
Wilkinson's.
I have to leave the shop. I just have to go and find another queue or something. I can't stand it.
Well, there's a whole list of people that annoy you the most. There was a piece in Evening Standard yesterday, and I'm going to run through something because I don't actually do any of the things that annoy people apparently, but you do almost all of them.
Right, go on.
For example, blabbermouths. You do that. Office and personal
Sorry,
phone
what do you
calls, especially with significant others. Music, repetitive noises that can easily drive anyone nuts. You make a lot of noise in the office. Everybody knows you're here when you're in the office.
Yeah, that's because I'm a significant individual.
Gossip mongers, politely excuse yourself.
Never get involved in that.
All right,
Never, ever.
I won't say you do that. Chompers, slurpers and coughers. There you go, coughing. You've just been coughing all the way through the first hour of the show.
If you've got a bit of a
people
cold...
who clear their throats, people who sneeze, it's not on.
We had a colleague in America for a lot of years, and he used to snort.
What?
He used to snort.
Snort?
He used to go...
Really?
All the time when you were talking to him, and eventually people sort of failed to notice. But it was, he'd be standing at the bar, and all of a sudden he was thinking about something, and he'd go.
Well, don't do it on the microphone. It sounds horrendous.
No, I know it does, but I'm trying to say this guy was never aware of the fact that he was a snorter.
Right.
And
wannabe singers is number 6, and that's you. You're always bursting into song for no apparent reason, which is very, very irritating.
Hang on,
especially since you now do it on the radio.
Hang on, my singing ability is sufficient for a company to have invested in a great deal of money in my cover version of Paint It Black with the Rolling Clones.
Now, the next one you don't do, swearing. Apparently, some people object to people swearing an awful lot in the office.
Some people I've met in our business use the F word about every 3 words because they are so empty-headed and so unable to impress their personality on somebody else without resorting to... and the and it drives me mad.
Whiners, you qualify for this one as
No,
well.
I don't.
We haven't got time to go through all the other ones, but you do whine a lot.
I do not whine. I never whine.
You whine about the weather, you whine about the fact that there's nowhere to sit.
Rubbish.
You whine about the fact that I'm always interrupting you. You're always whining.
No,
constantly
no,
whining.
I don't whine.
Anyway, we're out of time at the moment. So,
right.
We're almost done the first hour already. 2 more hours to go. This is our final day in for Hawksby and Jacobs. Joe Cole is coming up in the next hour, of course.
Excellent.
Lots more as well. This is Talk Sport. Two mics in for Hawksby and Jacobs on TalkSport with Papa John's, who are giving you the chance to win €1 million. Go to amillionfans.com and sign up for your chance to win. Now, we've got lots to talk about coming up a little bit later in the show. We're going to be getting the Moose on as well, because he's up at the showdown between Middlesbrough and Brighton. Which means that whoever wins that game is going to be promoted.
They certainly are.
Which will be quite exciting,
particularly
for people in the northeast of England. If it turns out that one of those northeastern clubs ends up going down into the Championship later on, you think it's going to be Sunderland that survives, don't you?
I do.
I think it's going to be Newcastle.
You think it'll be Newcastle? I think it'll be Sunderland.
Maybe we should have a little side bet on it.
No, we won't.
Why not?
That will just make people think that we're in it for the profit, and we're not. We're in it to establish who can best judge these things.
I'm just trying to help you out and remove some of that wealth of yours.
No. I haven't got wealth.
Just to sort of even things out of it.
I have wealth of existence, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right, then. Now, Gareth A. Davies is, of course, our
Indeed.
man who knows everything there is to know about the world of boxing. He's with Her Majesty's Daily Telegraph,
Yes.
and he's here. Gareth, very good afternoon to you.
A very, very good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Very well indeed. Now, we've got a massive boxing weekend again. There seems to be one kind of coming around every couple of weeks these days.
Yeah, well, it's a big time, isn't it? We've got 11 world champions at the moment, and if Amir Khan can pull off the unthinkable in Las Vegas, 12 world champions, and it would really cap a brilliant time in British boxing because, he's stepping up 2 weight divisions to fight for the WBC middleweight title against this very famous Mexican who is really dominating the headlines out here as the new star with the kind of retirement of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And Amir Khan's got his face on 25 stories at the moment alongside Canelo. This is a big fight he's craved. So this is his moment, his proving moment, if you like, where he's really got to make a difference. And it's been extraordinary talking to his team this week in terms of how he's built himself into a middleweight. Incredibly, he's got to weigh in at 155 pounds today, a catch weight, middleweight being 160 pounds. But his strength and conditioning coach was telling me yesterday that he needs to be 165 pounds by the time he steps in. He's going to need that extra weight and, of course, a lot of speed against Canelo.
It's not the greatest line, Gareth. We're going to try and get you back on another one, because one of the things, of course, about Amir Khan is that he has forged his way in America very bravely, some would say, because he didn't have to go over there and try and make a name for himself. But, I mean, he's been quite roundly dissed, you'd have to say, by Floyd Mayweather, who at one point put out a tweet saying, who should I fight next? And when everybody said Amir Khan, he said, well, we're not going to fight him. He's never really quite made it into the,
acceptance,
the
acceptance factor.
Of acceptance in America. But this fight could do it for him.
Well, certainly could. I mean, the world of boxing is so brutal in two aspects. One is when you get in the ring and you might get knocked, beaten up and lacerated and all that kind of stuff. But the other one is the business.
Got a bit of knowledge about
business
boxing,
world that surround. Well, I was Butlin's boxing champ at Portelli.
Butlin's boxing champ. When you were 7?
When I was 7. That's right. Yeah. I've got the cup to prove it, so there's no point in anybody asking me whether I did it or not. The funny thing is, funny you should say that. If you establish things in this country, people go around and put a blue plaque up on your house to say that you're great, Yeah,
we're going to talk about that coming up in a little while. We've got Gareth back. We'll see if that's a better line. Gareth, sorry about that. You were sort of fading in and out there. I was just saying that Amir Khan sort of hasn't quite ever made that upper echelon of acceptability in American boxing circles. Will it happen if he wins this?
I think he will. I mean, he's fought 9 times in America in his last 11 fights, and Canelo is rated number 8 pound for pound in the world. He's the number 1 middleweight in the world, the linear champion at the moment. So really, this is the fight which could define his career and propel him, as you say, into the upper echelons in the sport. He craved those fights with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao for 2 years, didn't get them. Floyd Mayweather toyed with him with the potential of having the bout. But it's all on the line. It could be a mismatch of epic proportions if it doesn't go well for him. But he's got to use his very best boxing capabilities over the entire 12 rounds and not find himself in a dogfight at all with Canelo.
One of the things that you and I have talked about over the years, Gareth, is Amir Khan. One of the reasons he's so exciting to watch is because he has a kind of sometimes a glass jaw. Sometimes goes down a bit easily. So if he does get involved in a slanging match with this guy, then it might not go well for him.
Yeah, it will. I mean, it won't go well if he gets involved toe-to-toe. He has to avoid that for the 36 minutes of the bout. His trainer, Virgil Hunter, is saying that what he's got to do is just see each round as a 3-minute exposition of his boxing skills and try and win the bout round by round, get ahead in the fight, and then get to the end of it. But he does look fantastic. He seems incredibly confident. And, the whole of the boxing world is kind of commending his bravery in stepping up 2 weight divisions, and he's getting a massive payday for this, I've got to add. He could be earning...
I think the payday must have a lot to do with it, Gareth, because when I've been reading the sort of things he's been saying over there, which are coming out of, saying that he does not believe he can really hurt Canelo Alvarez in his fight. I mean, what's that all about? He says, look, I know it's stupid of me not to accept that Canelo will be stronger and more powerful than me in that ring. I mean, that's not the sort of thing that usually works up an American audience.
I think he's just being realistic, Mike, in that he doesn't necessarily have the power to challenge Canelo in that way. And he
shouldn't be fighting him, then, should he? If he doesn't think he can give him a toe-to-toe equal sort of fight, which is what the Americans basically like.
It's not his style.
I know it's not his style, but that's what the Americans like. And if you start talking before the bout and saying, oh, well, I'm the weaker man, I don't think I can hurt my opponent, I mean, I think it's counterproductive.
Well, it's also mind games as well. I mean, I think there's an element here where he's perhaps toying with Canelo's mind and making Canelo feel overconfident. He knows... I mean, when Amir Khan's boxed at his best, he's been untouchable against Devon Alexander, against Paulie Malignaggi, against these guys. They didn't manage to get their power shots away against him. And I think the key is against Canelo... He's got to move quickly, keep moving, and just stay away from danger. Look, it could be one of those harem-scarem fights in which he gets ahead towards the middle rounds and then has to cling on. We saw it against Marcos Maidana many years ago at the Mandalay Bay, where he held on probably one of the best performances of his career. And he's just got to do it again. Seriously, if he wins this bout... it will be one of the greatest performances by a British boxer abroad that we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Anthony Crowler's fighting in Manchester this weekend, WBA World Lightweight title. What do you make of that one?
Well, it's a very, very tough defence, first defence against the mandatory challenger from Venezuela. He's a vicious puncher, southpaw puncher. Again, Crawler, vast experience, 37 fights, 220 rounds he's boxed in his career. Barroso's knocked out 18 of his 9 victims in the ring, if you like. 2 draws, never been beaten. But what Anthony's got to do again, he's got to use the whole size of the ring to work away on the outside. Again, stay away from engaging early and take Barroso into the late rounds. We got a very good look at Barroso back in December when he stopped Kevin Mitchell, the Londoner, in the 5th round and earned this mandatory position. And he's a vicious, vicious puncher with his hooks. And what Crawler again has got to do, not get in a dogfight, take Barroso into the later rounds, tire him, and then use the advantages he knows because he's been 12 rounds several times.
Great stuff,
Indeed.
Gareth. Well,
Gareth,
we'll
thank
be
you very
watching
much
it
indeed.
over the course of the weekend. Very exciting weekend for
It
boxing
is.
fans.
I have
course.
to say it is. Yeah.
Now, very exciting for football fans here on Talk Sport as well.
Yes.
Joe Cole, former West Ham, former Chelsea, former Liverpool, former England player, now heading off to Tampa Bay.
Indeed.
Now, you were going to tell me about the blue plaques.
Yeah, well, the blue plaques, you see. What I was telling you about was that if you really do something well in this life, the Blue Plaque Society, and they're 150 years old this week, okay? That's why you've been reading a lot about them. Go around sticking a blue plaque on your house. Now, I don't think you've got to even be dead. I think if you're really good, I think if you're really good, you can get a blue plaque while you're alive.
They've got different coloured plaques now as well.
No, they're all blue.
Haven't they
blue
got
and
brown
white.
ones, sort of, like National Trust plaques and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, that's if there's a tree in the garden or something. That's not because a famous person lived there.
No,
but I mean,
I'm sure I've seen a famous person plaque that's not blue.
So I walk past a house most days and it says Virginia Woolf lived here.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, what it does is it then stimulates your intelligence and your brain and your thinking pattern. You think, wow, I must learn a lot more about Virginia Woolf. You know what I mean?
And so have you?
Yes, I have, yes.
What have you learned?
She was a theatre critic.
Oh, yeah. She was a writer, wasn't she? Part of the Bloomsbury set.
Bloomsbury set. Well, that's where I've seen it, in Bloomsbury.
What were you doing in Bloomsbury?
I was, doing a bit of business around there.
Wandering about?
No, visiting a studio, actually, to undertake a few tasks and things.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Something you haven't told me about?
No, nothing at all.
Really?
Nothing at all. Don't worry about that.
All right.
But
I've seen the time, by the way.
Well, don't worry about the time. But the thing is, I want to know, I mean, just as I have a definite ambition to have a statue of myself made while I'm still living, I can't see any point in having one when you're dead.
Well, you won't need much material for it, will you?
Oh.
Well, you want a plaque now as well?
Well, I
can't stick a plaque on that horrendous, ghastly block of flats.
I just wonder what the process is.
You only get one if you've actually got a proper house. You have to get a proper house.
No, that's rubbish. Do you think Jimi Hendrix had a proper house? He's got a plaque.
Yeah, he was in a proper house.
Yeah, but he was only rented. He only lived in a rented flat.
Yeah, but it's a proper house. It's
Doesn't
not like
matter.
some horrendous kind of prefab, 1970s office block.
And neither are either of my penthouses. So your
well,
drivel,
they're not penthouses.
Your drivel doesn't fool anybody. Believe me.
I've been to both of them. They are not penthouses.
Your desperate, jealous drivel.
The truth. It's called.
Doesn't bother anybody. Believe me.
All right, this is Talk Sport.
Paddy's Punts on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. Money back as a free bet if one leg of your 5-team or more footy accumulator lets you down. Selected leagues, max £50, TNC supply, 18 plus, gamble aware.
Now, it's a massive weekend in Leicester this weekend, of course. Not least
because
your favourite team, Everton, are going to be turning up.
You mean my favourite team? You mean my team?
I like to call them your favourite teams. I know it annoys you.
Yeah, it does.
The point is that they're turning up for a sort of show of hands, if you like, to presumably congratulate Leicester as the champions of the Premier League for 2015-2016.
They'll line up on the pitch, and as
will they give them the old guard of honour?
Of course they will, yeah, give them a clap as they come out. So they should, what Leicester have done is absolutely magnificent, But it's a bit galling to be the, I don't know,
also
making up the numbers.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So I know you'll be very upset about it, but there's going to be loads of open-top bus parades going on over the course of the next few days. And there's an open-top bus parade, you might think, even before the game, because Paddy Power is going to join us now and tell us about what he's going to do for quite a few punters who made a bit of money this year. Paddy,
excellent.
Very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Michael. How are you getting on?
Yeah, very well indeed. Very much better than the last time we saw you in Cheltenham, I suspect.
Yeah, exactly. I'm much more compos mentis. Although I am a little bit off my head on morphine because I've got a neck injury at the moment. So it's great. But the only problem is you take it and then after an hour and a half you're kind of looking at your watch like, when's my next one? It's not for 7 hours time. You get depressed.
Yeah, right.
So
well, I mean, you and Porky can talk on a sort of level playing field then if you're under the influence of some serious opiates.
Absolutely.
But tell us about this. Tell us about this open top bus celebration. What's going on?
Yes, I'm heading over there in the morning. I actually spent this morning trying to buy a Leicester shirt around Dublin to pretend I was a fan for the whole season, but there's none. There's literally, I don't think they're sold out. There literally was none in stock ever.
Really?
So we're going over there, and we've got an open-top bus, like you said. It's all Paddy Power branded, obviously, but also we've got some quotes from famous people about Leicester having no chance, how Ranieri's a terrible signing as a manager and all that kind of stuff, so just to embarrass people as well. And basically, the invitees onto the bus are people who back Leicester to win the league. So all those people are invited onto the bus, and they think it's for a big party, but in fact we're just going to drive them off the edge of a cliff. No, genuinely, it's for anyone who's backed them, and there'll be a lad there who won 50 grand. They'll all have their big novelty checks and all that kind of stuff. So, and it's like, it'll be free booze for the day and all that kind of stuff, and drive around, just have a bit of a gloat and a bit of an enjoyable day, I think, and TalkSport did an OB from it as well. So it should be really good fun.
Yeah, I hear you're letting Matt Ford on the bus, who's obviously doing the warm-up live from there tomorrow, but I mean, he's a Nottingham Forest fan. I mean, how's that going to play?
I don't know. We work it out. Between. We're all Leicester fans tomorrow. I'll be buying a shirt in the airport if they have. The tag will still be on, and I'll be pretending to everyone that I'm a big Leicester fan. So don't tell them.
My God. I mean, that'd be like a busload of lottery winners, Paddy, and you can give them free drink as well. Shouldn't they be buying you a drink?
No, sure, why not? You got to go the whole hog. Put it like this, as the odds would suggest, the next time we'll have to do this is in 5,000 years' time. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about it at that stage, you know.
By the way, just on that one, Paddy, and I think you have hinted at this in perhaps another show, but you're never going to offer 5,000 to 1 to a promoted team from the Championship to win the Premiership again, are you?
No, it's ridiculous. Burnley are 1,000 to 1, and we've seen probably 10 times as many bets on Burnley as we would have on the promoted teams from last year. So it's like people are kind of thinking that lightning might strike twice. But I mean, it is probably the perfect storm for Leicester this year, isn't it? That the big teams probably weren't as good as they have been in previous years, and Leicester just kept it going. So it's a perfect year for them to really nail it, So it worked out well.
But that's why you're in the business you're in, aren't you? Because I mean, this year lots more people will put more bets on, and the most unlikely idea that Burnley will win the Premier League, and it probably won't happen again for another 20 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully it does, though. It's good crack. The one thing that you never hear the bookies say, and I'm the honest bookie and all that, so I'll tell you the truth. The truth is, while we're all out there whinging about paying out £2 million and all that to winning punters, the reality is no one talks about the fact that when Leicester beat United and Arsenal and Chelsea and all these people earlier in the season, we cleaned up on all those games. So they've done us big favours during the year as well. So,
well, you'll still be getting my regular phone call after the third round of the FA Cup draw early next season, Paddy. £1,000 on Everton to win the FA Cup.
Well, funny you say that, because I actually have a psychological theory about betting this weekend, right?
Yes.
And this could be very, very good, right? Or very, very stupid, one or the other. But for example, this match, Everton away to Leicester tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? Leicester have been on the batter all week, I assume.
Well, I don't think they have, you see. I don't think
they've certainly been eating quite a lot of pizza, we know about that.
I think they're too professional to have done that, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, and I think all this idea that, I mean, somebody's already said it, they've been on the pop all week and all that. Anyway, go on, Paddy, yeah.
Okay, so my theory is that they have, right? So therefore, Everton are a good bet. But then if you use a similar psychological theory, Spurs, you could see how as soon as Chelsea equalised, their season ended right there, and you could just see the defeat.
Yeah.
So I think they're basically a busted docket, right?
I think Arsenal might end up overtaking them, Paddy.
Well, do you know what they could? So Southampton could beat Spurs, and the other one is actually Arsenal to beat City, because I think the same thing that happened is that when Company went off, but after that game, you just did, Toure was a perfect example of just how it's over. Do you know what I mean? The Pellegrini era is over. So they're vulnerable, and if you treble the three of them up, you're looking at more than about 30 to 1 or something. Do you know what I mean? Or 35, 40 to 1. So it's speculative, but why not?
Well, you say speculative, but that's what your business is all about, isn't it? Without speculation, wouldn't be anywhere.
Presumably, Paddy can now collect on that bet you made with him about Raheem Sterling as well, because he said, I think you may remember this, Paddy, at the start of last season, that Raheem Sterling wouldn't score 4 goals in the Premier League.
No, I didn't. I said he wouldn't score in more than 5 Premier League games, and he didn't.
I've got the tweet. There's no point in denying it. I can send the tweet out again.
The thing is, Paddy and I never struck a bet on that.
Well, you said you'd put £1,000 on it.
I never did. I tweeted out that I'd be happy to do business, but it never came about.
Is that right, Paddy?
There was no handshake, so therefore he owes me nothing.
Yeah, well, there you go, you see. I'm an honourable man, Paddy. Thank you very much indeed for defending my honour in those sort of circumstances.
My next phone call is the heavies to call them off.
That's right, yeah. Even to the extent where you wouldn't let me nick one of those beautifully painted bottles from your box at Cheltenham last time I was there.
Yeah, I know, but like you can't ask. I can't say yes. You just take it. I'm not going to give out to you afterwards. You know what I mean?
Next time I'm going to nick it.
Just nick it. Just nick it and say nothing.
Okay, to be fair, that's what he normally does. That's how he's lived his entire life. Stories,
you can't say to somebody, "Do you mind
ideas."
If I nick this from you? Because if you're nicking it, they obviously do mind. But if you nick it afterwards, it's harder. I live my life by this.
Yeah.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah,
right?
well, you'll be one bottle short when we see you in October down at Cheltenham, believe me.
Yeah, perfect. We shall see. You'll be one sandwich short of a picnic as well. Paddy, good luck with it all. Thank you very much indeed. Paddy Power with his open-top bus parade and the warm-up, of course, coming from the open-top bus in Leicester with a load of punters who've won loads of money. Matt Ford will be there, even though he's a Nottingham Forest fan. Now, I've got some news for you coming up.
That'll be hard for him as well.
Well, it will be, yeah.
Because, it's equivalent to me having to go on a bus when we're celebrating Liverpool winning something. You know what I mean? For Forest and Leicester, what a very close rivalry that is.
Absolutely right. Now, we're almost out of time once again. Joe Cole's coming up in a little while, though, but I was just going to mention this to you. I got a tweet earlier on. You remember yesterday you were raving on about how safe Mercedes cars were?
Well, of course they are.
Mercedes' safest car in the world.
Of course they are.
A tweet from a guy called Chris, right, who's also sent in a picture of his car, basically, which went on fire last night. He said he's had it for years and years.
Why did it go on fire?
Because of the Porky Jinx. As soon as you mentioned that Mercedes are the safest cars in the world.
That's probably some beaten-up old wreck, that's been driven around.
It looks like an old. Looks like an old A-class. He said, "I had it for years. Last night it went on fire."
I had it for years. It was that's a broken fuel pipe. That almost certainly.
Really?
Yeah. They rust and corrode if you don't treat them properly. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you very much. This is from the man who didn't even understand the difference between manual and automatic. This is Talk Sport. We're giving away another slice of £300 now, thanks to Papa John's. Every hour of the show, we'll be asking a million-themed question. All you need to do is text the correct answer, and you could win £100 in cash.
That's absolutely right. Now then, today's second question is this. Who was the first person in professional darts to win over £1 million? Was it Phil Taylor? Or was it Bobby George?
Text player followed by A for Phil Taylor or followed by B for Bobby George to 81089 before 2:45. Text costs 50p and standard network charges apply. Visit talksport.com for full terms and conditions.
Jacob's Millions on TalkSport with Papa John's. Sign up now for your chance to win €1 million at www.amillionfans.com. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply.
Now, you're talking about that Mercedes, right?
Yes.
Talking about that Mercedes.
The one that went on fire. Yes.
You're always trying to have a go at me about my Mercedes.
I'm not trying to have a go at you.
Your Mercedes is a complete wreck. We accept that, don't we?
It's an older car.
And the latest beef
we're getting it serviced next week, by the way, so it'll be in tip-top condition.
Why bother?
Because you have to service a car, otherwise it breaks down.
Well, the car's only worth a few £100.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It costs you more than that to get it serviced.
It doesn't matter, but I mean, it's still a very good car to drive around in.
No,
so
why are you
I would like
whinging
to have
on?
it in peak condition.
Why are you whinging on? Because we've seen some reports of the fact that Brooklyn Beckham, who's 17 now, is learning to drive, and all these sort of so-called, social commentators are whinging that he's learning to drive in what appears to be a
brand new car.
A brand new C-Class Mercedes.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, well, so why are people whinging about it?
Because people have to whinge about something. I mean, the same reason you whinge about people with rucksacks, same reason you whinge about people who whistle, same reason you whinge about people who annoy you by doing certain things.
What they're all trying to say is, his parents are not teaching him any real values in life. Yes, they are. They're teaching him that if you drive in the safest car on the road, which is what the Mercedes is often described as, then you have less chance of being hurt in an accident.
Well, I mean, he's not going to get hurt in an accident driving around London at 20 miles an hour, is he? I mean,
how do you know?
The problem is that he didn't have an L plate on the front of his car, as he should have done. And so I don't know whether he's going to get a ticket for that.
But, I mean, you get some of these, sort of social commentariat people saying, You
mean columnists?
Yeah, columnists, that's right. Yeah, his parents are ruining him. Now, would you say, as the father of 4 children, you have to keep a perspective on how much you give your children at any particular
age?
Very
much so, yeah. You have to be very careful
about
about
But if you'd
money.
have had the dosh, you'd love to have bought your daughter or your son a car at 17, wouldn't you?
No, well,
and in fact, isn't that your ambitious now, as your boys are growing up?
Well, no, I mean, would you like me to answer?
Would
you like me to answer the question, or are you just going to start babbling at me like some demented chimp? The point is that when you have children, when you have children, you obviously have to work out how not to spoil them, because it's very easy in this day and age to be spoiled. I mean, when I was growing up, we didn't get spoiled because nobody had that kind of money, nobody had that kind of stuff.
Well, you didn't even have any heating in your house.
We didn't have heating in the house.
No.
I slept in the kitchen for about 10 years.
Exactly,
and because we lived in a very small flat. But we lived in Hampstead, and so it wasn't gruesome at all. My family were very loving, unlike yours, and they didn't sort of poison my brain.
You all had to huddle together, didn't you, when it was -3 and you had no heating?
It was never -3.
Yeah?
We didn't live in Russia.
Really?
But the point is that both my older kids learned to drive. and I helped them to get a car to do that. But they didn't get given a brand new car. Yeah. They got given a second-hand car so they could drive around. So and they also had to pay for it themselves. Yeah. If you give them too much, too young, then they become spoiled and they expect everything. But people say millennials now, right? And you know what they are, don't you?
What?
Millennials. You know what millennials are?
Millennial?
Do you know what millennials are?
Well, like the millennium, you mean?
It's a description of instead of yuppies, instead of people that were born in the 80s. Millennials are people like my daughter.
Oh yeah,
right?
What's she?
She's a millennial.
Yeah, what is that?
It means somebody who was born around the time of the century changed. Right?
Oh, I see.
So that basically, they've now grown up to live in a world which they expect everything from.
Yeah.
So that they're supposedly much more kind of disappointed with their lot in life.
Sure.
You see, there was a story the other day about a load of people who are leaving the banking business, right, in their 20s because they're very disappointed at the fact that they're not getting a big enough bonus.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And which job are they going to where they get £1 million bonus a year?
I don't know where they're going to go, but my point is that they expect an awful lot more. Yeah. And it's partly the fault of parents, probably like myself, who, even though you don't think you're spoiling kids, you're taking them on these great holidays, you never really need for very much, and they expect to have, the latest trainers. I mean, football shirts, you're supposed to buy them a football shirt, costs £100.
90 quid.
Ridiculous.
90 quid, the latest shirt. The idea that, Brooklyn Beckham, whose father and mother combined are worth about 250 million quid.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously not going to give him an old banger to drive around in, are they?
Exactly. Should actually buy him a second-hand Datsun and say, look, I tell you what, go out and learn to drive that. It's ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah. It's a name from the past. They're called Nissans for you.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Now, I've got this from Timothy.
What does he
says
say?
That I'm wrong about something, but I don't know what he's telling me I'm wrong about.
Most things.
But he says Rio Ferdinand has a blue plaque on a block of flats in Peckham.
Oh, there you go.
I suppose he means you can't put a blue plaque on a block of flats, because I said you couldn't do that.
You said you can't put them on a block of flats, but you said you don't get one unless you're dead.
I didn't say either of those things.
Yes, you did.
I said I don't think you should put one on a horrible block of flats like the one where you live.
No, you said that you couldn't.
It's a bit different. No, well, when I say you couldn't, I don't mean there's a law against it. I just mean you shouldn't.
Down in Stockbroker Beltville, right, OK, there's a village there, and it's round near the pond where I feed my ducks.
The pond?
Okay? Yeah, the pond.
Oh, yeah, what village is that?
It's Walton on the Heath.
OK, so if people wanted to watch it...
hang on, it's not. It's Walton on the Hill.
Walton on the Hill. OK,
Right.
It's different from Walton on Thames.
Well, Walton on Thames is like in a different sort of place.
Yeah, that's down by Richmond, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Walton on the Hill, if you go...
So if somebody wanted to see you feeding the ducks at 4 a.m, that's where you go?
Not necessarily.
Oh, right.
There's 3 ponds around there.
Three?
Yeah, so it might be one of the other 2.
OK.
Now, excuse me, and there's 2 in
Still
Carshalton as well. Now, what I was going to say is, if you go down past the newly refurbished boozer, which is called the Blue Ball... Although it might be called something else now, because it closed down to the Blue Ball.
Oh, did it?
And they put all those big metal panels in the window. Somebody apparently didn't pay the VAT bill.
No, really?
Apparently.
Right, so was it reopened?
Allegedly. It's under new ownership and all that. It's very nice as well.
So you've been in there since it's reopened?
Oh, yes.
But you don't know what it's called?
Well, I didn't look at the sign. I just assumed it's still called what it was in the old days.
Yeah.
And if you go around the corner at the bottom, then there's a little sort of... it's a very substantial sort of terraced house, and the way they used to build them in the 20s, very substantial, big windows and all that. And it's got a sign above the window saying this is where, I think it's old Tom and young Tom lived.
Old Tom, what, Morris?
Yes, golfers.
The golf designers. Guys.
Golfers.
Right.
And that's because, of course, Walton Heath, the golf club, is very close by, and it's such a good golf club, that's where they once played the Ryder Cup.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't remember them playing it then.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Okay.
And that, that plaque is, I mean, that's kind of legendary one, because you have been whinging and moaning that not enough sports people get blue plaques.
I was just wondering if they do, because I've never really seen one. The fact that there's one for Rio Ferdinand in Peckham is a surprise to me.
Exactly.
But I've never...
So I've just proved you wrong twice now.
Well, it's not about proving anybody
Maybe
wrong.
there's a plaque somewhere which says Bobby Moore lived here.
Yeah, I'm sure there probably is.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is you tend not to see them. I mean, maybe people could tell us and tweet into us about various sporting plaques that they might have seen.
Must be a guide somewhere, mustn't there, to Britain's blue plaques, because otherwise, what's the point of putting them up?
What about the Blue Plaque Society that you seem to know so much about?
By the way, some kind person has sent in a blue plaque for myself, which we've sent out, OK?
Yeah, we have retweeted it, but unfortunately I don't feel the need to read it out, because it includes some words which should not necessarily be repeated on a family show.
No, I don't agree.
You don't agree?
They're very mild words.
So you're going to read it out anyway?
I'm going to read it out, because I think it's good. It says, Mike Porky Parry, born circa 1955.
Is that correct?
I won't comment on that.
OK.
Sometime journalist... serial Rogerizer and indulger in bladderation, Lived here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice.
So why don't you get that printed up?
Thank you very nice.
You could get it just printed up and stick it on the outside of your building.
Well, no, because it would get wet, wouldn't it? I mean,
you should really have a blue plank, I suppose, rather than a blue plaque.
A blue plank.
That would work.
That's supposed to be a joke.
It is a joke.
It's not funny.
This is TalkSport.
Not funny.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk to John Ketley, celebrity weatherman, who's going to talk us through how to avoid getting too burnt and crisp at the weekend. Because although we'll be in Cardiff, obviously, you'll be walking around in the sunshine probably over the next sort of few hours, and maybe tomorrow morning.
Well, you do have sunshine in Cardiff, you know.
Yeah, no, I know that. I spent an awful lot of time in Cardiff, unlike you. I used to work down there. So, don't worry about how well I know the town.
I did a bit of time down there because the FA Cup final was played down there for a number of seasons when Wembley was closed down.
Yeah, but it's not the same when you just go down for a cup final, is it?
Yes,
I mean, I had an old office down there. I used to have an entire staff down there. I used to go and visit from time to time. You're still coughing.
No, I'm not.
But it's going to be 23, 24 degrees.
How's that business going now?
The Welsh Mirror?
Yes.
It doesn't go anymore.
No, they've closed it down.
They did.
Since you got your hands on it.
Well, it wasn't because of me. It was because, as we pointed out earlier, the New Day and the management at Mirror Group Newspapers has not been very good for many, many years. And unfortunately, their track record in shutting down things and opening up other things and wasting money on other things. See, they're also shutting down the 3am girls. Did you see that? 3am girls are going to be no more.
What, the diary?
They're
effectively their diary.
They're replacing the 3am girls with a new television column.
Oh, really?
Which is going to appear every day. And they're only going to appear now, apparently, on a Saturday.
The 3am girls were called the 3am girls because they went out to late night parties till 3am and then brought back all the stories about the good and the great.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
But one of the reasons they say they're stopping it is because it's now no longer so easy to get stories from celebrities, because most celebrities are now posting their own pictures on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook and all that. And also the fact that, with the 24-hour news cycle in which we now live, it's very, very difficult to get stories that somebody doesn't already know about.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
They got rid of the 3pm column, actually. We used to appear in the football pullout on a Monday, which was great.
Yeah, it was.
My mate used to write that, and it was always very entertaining.
Yeah, they changed it to Rosette or something.
Something like that,
Yeah, which is not quite as good as it used to be.
That's right.
Now, I've just found, by the way, and I've just tweeted it out, you can make your own blue plaque.
Is that right?
So all you got to do is actually come up with your own wording, and these people will make you a blue plaque. So you wonder whether, and it looks exactly like a real one.
Yeah,
so
but
you
can't stick it on your building then, can you?
Well, you'd probably have to ask the owners of the building if you could do it.
Well, no, what I mean is, don't you have to have some authority from the people who authorise the awarding of blue plaques?
I'm not sure.
Or can you do your own?
Well, it says you can have your own made up, and if you have your own made up and it looks exactly like a regular blue plaque, I mean, you normally do things in an underhand manner.
I suppose so.
Why wouldn't you just stick it up on the side of the building?
I suppose
or you could put it up in your luxuriant, what do you call it, the roof garden.
I could put my roof garden,
10 square feet of concrete.
You're unlikely to receive a knock on the door from a passing policeman saying, excuse me, have you got authority to put that plaque up there, are you?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so.
No, exactly. How would they know?
Unless the Blue Plaque Society have actually got, blue plaque type people that wander about looking for these things.
I doubt that very much indeed.
I think you'd probably be fine.
I think you would. I doubt that very much indeed. Now then, when you were talking to me earlier about our trip to Cardiff, you, of course, are going by road.
I am. I'm going to drive.
Yeah, now, you see, I think that's another mistake. By the time you get there, you're going to be so drained of energy and
it's easy for you to say, but do you know why I drive? One of the reasons that I drive is that I have to haul all the stuff that you don't have any interest in taking. For example, the T-shirts that we sell, the DVDs that we sell, the little stands that we put up.
Yes.
How else are you going to get that there?
Well,
do you want to take some of it? Do you want to take a box of T-shirts? On the train?
It's not necessary because you'll take them all in your jalopy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Nevertheless, looking forward very much to getting down there.
I got a text here from Jordan who says, hi guys, how can I get tickets to come see you in Cardiff? I really want to see just how Porky is in the flesh.
Oh yeah? Really? Well, that's not difficult. You go to the2bikes.co.uk, is that right?
Yeah, you can get them that way.
Or there's a website
just go to the Tram Shed.
For the Tram Shed, which is just behind the Millennium Stadium, where all those cup finals were played, and I used to go around and cover them in the early 2000s because Wembley was closed down and rebuilt. And we look forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, apparently, one of the other things that's going to happen in the next hour or so is there's going to be some test of knowledge about Wales, which may be thrown your way.
A test of knowledge?
My way as well.
Why is that?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, because there's a test, there's a quiz coming up. about
Wales.
Wales.
I see, because we're going to Wales.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah, well,
You're feeling all right today?
No.
You don't seem to be quite all there.
No, of course I'm all here.
I told you 2 weeks of daytime radio has made you lose the plot. Here's a text from Gelman who says there's a blue plaque on a terraced house in Stockport where Fred Perry was born.
Fred Perry, that's
so
right.
there we are.
Yeah, similar name to mine.
Keep those coming in because we don't know. I've never seen a sporting blue plaque. We now know there's one for Rio Ferdinand in Peckham and one in Stockport for Fred Perry.
Absolutely.
So Joe Cole, however, is going to be here right now because he's off to Tampa Bay to play for the Tampa Bay Rowdies in Florida. Joe, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, chaps. How are we?
Hi, Joe. Very well, thank you.
Thanks very much indeed for sparing us some time. I know you're a busy man. Now, off to Tampa Bay, the former home of Rodney Marsh. I think he still lives in that neck of the woods. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, it's exciting, ain't it? It's a beautiful place. The St. Petersburg is the city where the stadium is. It's a lovely place, beautiful beaches. The family, we're all really looking forward to it.
It'll be a great adventure, that, Joe. Joe, I mean, to do that now and the end of a magnificent career that you've had in this country, 3 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cup victories, and, of course, a large part of that, Joe, was spent with Mr. Claudio Ranieri and Jose Mourinho. And, you know, the significance of their contribution to football in this country is enormous. Can I ask you, first of all, how surprised you are that Claudio's done so well?
I'm like everyone else in the country. I think you're surprised how well Leicester's done. Not necessarily surprised how well Claudio's done, because I think he's done a good job at every club he's been at. He's a good builder of teams, and you know, I was lucky enough he signed me for Chelsea, so
that's right.
I'll be ever indebted to him for that. And he's a great guy, and I've played a lot of football for him, and you know, I'm so pleased for him, and it brings Leicester winning the league sort of brings the romance back for all the clubs not in the traditional top 4 or 5 now. You know, it gets all the fans dreaming again, and it's a great story. And I'm chuffed for him, chuffed a bit for him.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I agree with you. In the days when, you know, a different club could win the league every year, it was great. And as for Jose Mourinho, Joe, I think it's fair to say that whilst you had a very successful run under him, you sometimes, you know, had, I don't know, sparky situations with Mr. Mourinho. He was a tough boss, wasn't he, and demanding?
He's very top boss. But I still think he's the best I've worked under. Looking back now, and you know, we get on really well now, and we did have you know, moments. You know what I mean? But you know, he helped me a lot. I learned a lot from him. It'd be great when he comes back. Whoever he decides to come back in the Premier League, they'll be getting themselves a real top manager who more or less in this modern day, he guarantees trophies, don't he, everywhere he's gone.
Absolutely. Are you surprised he's not at Manchester United yet?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I think obviously Van Gaal's really turned it round. He's got. I think it's been a long time since Man United have got to the FA Cup final, and that was a massive opportunity. He's bedded youngsters like Rashford, Tofu Mensah, and Martial looks like a top player as well. So they've got the beginnings of a top side there. So I wouldn't say it's just maybe, I don't know what they're thinking, but you know, Van Gaal certainly picked up the last few months, and he's done a good job.
Yeah, you do wonder that whether it turns out that he goes to Manchester United, if for some reason he doesn't go there before the start of the next season, he probably won't want to hang around. He'll want to go somewhere else, won't he, Jose?
You would think so. Like, knowing him how I know him, I think he'd want to be back and working, but you don't necessarily want to go into the wrong club, you know. You want to go in to the right club with the right environment, and so I'm sure he's experienced enough, you know, and he'll know when the right time is to come back and have another go at it.
Sure. Now, you were playing at West Ham, obviously, for many years. You had a game there just the other day, I think, Joe, didn't you? In sort of as they kind of get down to the move to the Olympic Stadium. What's your sort of what's your view of all of that? You know, you must have some great memories at Upton Park.
Yeah, it's wonderful memories. I'm hoping I'm still in the country Tuesdays to get down there for the last game. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for the club. I've said that from the start. I think moving to the Olympic Stadium is like winning the lottery for a club like West Ham that can really compete and kick on. And you look at all of what it brings. It's a London club now, based in right off the city of London, massive fan base, massive reputation, and now they've got a massive stadium and all the things tick the boxes for all the foreign players who want to come to the Premier League. They're going to want to come to West Ham, the destination now.
I've got a tweet here that's been sent in by Wardy, Joe. It says, please pass on my best wishes to Joe Cole for his future in the States, scorer of one of the best England World Cup goals. People still remember you for that, obviously. Will you be able to watch the Euros, and what chance do you think England have got this summer?
Oh, without doubt, I'll be watching them. I've already had a look at the time zone, so I'll make sure that I'm there. I'll be watching every game. I think we've got a good chance. I was... Like everyone, you're sort of tentative to get excited because we've been in this situation before. But that performance against Germany was exceptional, I thought. I've not seen an England team play as well as that for a long time. And I think, coming off the back of the World Cup, the FA have stuck with Roy and gone with continuity, and it paid off with a good qualifying campaign. I think we've got a good chance. I think where he's expanded as well... I think the quality of the group that we're going into, realistically, we should come out unscathed, and that gives the lads a chance to get their breath a little bit and build into the tournament. I mean, it's not usually when you go and play the Euros, you're up at it. You've got some big hitters in your group, but it seems that I think, no disrespect, but Slovenia, Russia, and Wales, we should be expected to win them games.
You'd hope so. And just lastly, Joe, sadly, the last Premier League club you played for in this country, Aston Villa, ran into all sorts of problems. Were you aware that they were going to struggle a little bit when you were there?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I've been in the game long enough now to know what's right and what's wrong, and there was a lot of things going on at Villa that weren't right, you know what I mean? But as a player, your job's to play when called on.
Sure.
Obviously, I wasn't called on anything really. I played a handful of games here and there, but so that was a disappointment. I'd like to have played more, but yes, there was obviously. It's only it's no revelation me coming out and saying things are wrong there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's obvious. It's obvious, isn't it? Now
it's obvious. You know what I mean? But,
sure.
I mean, I wish them all the best. I really do. I think hopefully it's a big season for Villa next year. Are they going to bounce straight back? Or, are they going to go the other way? So it's a massive season, massive off-season recruitment, and everything's got to be spot on.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Going to be tremendous. Yeah. Well, listen, Joe, thanks very much indeed.
Got to wish you all the very best, mate, and your ventures in America. I hope it goes as well as the rest of your career has gone.
Thank you very much, chaps, and thanks for having me.
Terrific to have you on the show.
We'll talk to you soon. We'll perhaps talk to you when you're on the other side of the Atlantic as well. Yeah. Joe Cole there, former Chelsea, West Ham, England, and many, many other clubs, of course, off to Tampa Bay to play for the Rowdies. This is TalkSport. Now, Mr. Parry, it's time to find out who has won the second slice of cash today, thanks to Papa John's.
Indeed, thanks to Papa John's. Yes, now, earlier we asked you who was the first person in professional darts to win over £1 million. And
the answer, of course, was Phil Taylor.
Phil the Power
Taylor.
Indeed. So well done to Gail in Letchworth. You've won yourself a slice of cash. £100 is on its way to you. Keep listening for today's final chance to get your hands on some cash. And it's all thanks to Papa John's.
Jacob's Millions on TalkSport with Papa John's. Sign up now for your chance to win €1 million at www.amillionfans.com. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply.
Now, you were casting aspersions on Stoke a little bit earlier, but Tim from Cheadle has texted into 81089. He says Stanley Matthews has a blue plaque at the home of his birthplace at Seymour Street, Hanley, Stoke-on-Trent.
Oh, that's great.
So there you are.
Why was I casting aspersions? I didn't.
Well, you said you didn't think they would have blue plaques in Stoke.
Oh, no. All I was saying was I wasn't sure whether the plaque belonged in Stoke or Blackpool, because, of course, although Stanley Matthews is a man from the Potteries, as it was known, as the 5 towns are known. Yeah. There's 5 towns in the Potteries, don't you?
Yeah, but I guess there are.
But you couldn't name them.
I probably couldn't, no.
No, you see, yeah.
But I could look them up. I mean, there's no point walking around with useless information in your head.
No.
The trouble with you is you walk around with information in your head which is incorrect.
No.
Constantly. so you get things wrong all the time.
But you'd think there would be a plaque somewhere in Blackpool for the house that Stanley Matthews lived in. For instance, when he had performed in the 1953 FA Cup final, which was often called the Matthews Cup final, but really should have been called the Mortensen Cup final, because Stan Mortensen was actually, the star of the show.
Was he?
Yeah, Matthews was crossing a few balls, Mortensen was knocking him away. You would have thought the next day, when they went home on the victory parade, he would then have gone to a home somewhere on the Fylde coast.
Yes.
Blackpool or Morecambe or Fleetwood or somewhere like that. You know what I mean?
Who can say? Alistair says Brian Clough has a blue plaque on the house he grew up in on Valley Road in Middlesbrough.
Is that right?
So there we are.
Most people have forgotten he was a Middlesbrough boy, whose career was ended early by a devastating injury. And
what?
Brian Clough's never recognised as one of the great centre-forwards, even though he had an outstanding record, because he played a lot of his career, in the second division. That was the problem.
Right. Well, he was known as a wonderful manager.
With Middlesbrough. Oh, he's a terrific manager.
Now, we've got a couple of live TalkSport commentary games coming up this weekend. The first of which is Leicester-Everton, funnily enough, which is 5:30 kickoff tomorrow. Then it's Tottenham-Southampton on Sunday. Now, this is the time when I'm going to ask you to see whether you can raise yourself above fourth from bottom in the Predictor League, right?
OK.
Because we're going to try and predict a few scores. Now, the first game up is a 12:45 kickoff tomorrow. Norwich against Manchester United.
Yes.
Still kind of chasing that fourth place.
Yes. Yeah. I've got to say that Manchester United have run into a bit of form, and they're also buoyed very much by the fact that they're going the FA Cup final. Norwich are dogged. Literally, I see nothing but a cloud of doom hanging over Norwich.
I wonder, because a lot of people are saying that they'll suddenly find something this weekend.
I don't think so. Norwich 1, Manchester United 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to go Norwich 1, Manchester United 2.
Okay.
Aston Villa, Newcastle coming up. I mean, my belief is if Newcastle can get 3 points here, it might just be enough, even though I know they've got a game more played, but it might just do it for them.
Funny enough, we've just been talking to Joe Cole about Aston Villa. It was the last Premier club he played for, and he said, I think there's something wrong. I think any club that plays Villa now is guaranteed 3 points. So that's got to be an Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 2 situation.
I've got Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 2. So very worrying. Right. We're agreeing. Bournemouth against West Brom, 3 o'clock Saturday.
Yeah, Bournemouth.
It's kind of you don't want to say a meaningless game, but it kind of is a meaningless game.
Not.
Isn't it?
It's not because, actually, Mike. Although you say, do you know for every place that you move up into the Premier League, you look at another 750 grand. Seriously, and you might say, chicken feed these days. Well, it's not. So I'm going on.
It doesn't go very far in the transfer market, does it?
No, but it would pay a player who's on, 50 grand a week for 15 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right, Bournemouth 3, West Brom 1.
Big scoring game. I'm going to go 1-1, I think. I don't really see very many goals there. Crystal Palace, Stoke is the next one. Crystal Palace, who may or may not still be on the pop.
No, they're not on the pop. And what's more, the players will enjoy playing so much at the moment and trying to impress their manager to get into the team for the FA Cup final. They'll be red hot. Crystal Palace 2, Stoke 0.
I'm going Crystal Palace 2, Stoke 2. Sunderland against Chelsea. Massive game for Sam Allardyce, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a huge game for Sam Allardyce. And because I've said I think Sunderland will survive, I've got to give Sunderland the benefit of the doubt. Sunderland 2... I don't know. Chelsea was so good, weren't they, against Spurs? And they
were good, but then they were winning the title for Leicester, weren't they?
Sunderland 2, Chelsea 1.
I'm going to go the other way. Sunderland 1, Chelsea 2.
Okay.
West Ham United against Swansea.
West Ham are in fine form. And all these calls for Mark Noble to play for England has highlighted the sort of form he's in at the moment.
Yeah.
And those two goals he scored. Andy Carroll as well. Those 2 goals he scored in that last game, and particularly that volley at the end was brilliant. So I've got to go West Ham 3, Swansea 0.
Yeah, I'm going to go West Ham 2, Swansea 1. Leicester against Everton, live on TalkSport.
Yes.
5:30 kickoff.
Yes. I really can't see how this just won't be a celebration party for Leicester, which will
end for Jamie Vardy, presumably.
And for Jamie Vardy.
He's going to want to score, isn't he?
Of course he is. It'll end in triumph for them. I would say the most likely result is Leicester 2, Everton 0.
Yeah, and Jagielka's out, I think, isn't he?
Jags is out, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Leicester 2, Everton 1, I'm going to say. Coming up to Sunday, 1:30 kickoff, Tottenham against Southampton.
Yeah. Tottenham will beat Southampton 2-1.
I'm not sure if Tottenham will, actually, because I think they sort of slightly went off the rails in that game against Chelsea. I'm going to say Tottenham 1, Southampton 2. Next one is Liverpool-Watford.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool at the moment, on and off the pitch, is a bubbling cauldron of optimism, hope and happiness, and there's no way Watford are going to prick that particular bubble, so that's going to be Liverpool 3, Watford 0.
I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-2 draw, actually.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be one of those games. Manchester City against Arsenal. Now, this is massive for Manchester City.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
If they get nothing in this game, they may drop out of the top 4. at some point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can't see it, frankly. Will there be a hangover from the midweek trials? I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I'm going to say City 1, Arsenal 1.
I'm saying City 1, Arsenal 2.
Okay.
And then we've got loads and loads of other games coming up next week, but I think we'll probably stop it there on the Sunday.
Indeed.
Tottenham-Southampton is the other live game.
Yeah.
But you will have to fill out all of your other ones for next week, because
Of
otherwise
course,
they won't be included in the old predictor scenario.
Indeed.
So, coming up, we're going to be talking, of course, about the big game tonight, which is between Middlesbrough and Brighton.
Yeah.
But also, John Ketley's up next. We're going to ask him about the weather this weekend, because it's going to be an absolute scorcher, apparently. This is TalkSport. TalkSport, we are the two mics in Hawksby and Jacobs. Of course, they will be back on a Monday with lots and lots of tales, no doubt, of what they've been up to for the last 2 weeks. We've had a fabulous time for the last 2 weeks.
They've been east and west, haven't they?
I think they have, in all parts of the globe.
Lovely.
But what we've been able to witness, of course, in the past, I suppose, few days that we've been here, is the onset of summer. And it's going to be the hottest day, I think, in May over the course of the next couple of days. It'll be 23, 24 degrees. Not in every part of the country, I guess, but certainly in most parts of the country. But let's talk to a celebrity weatherman, Mr. John Ketley, and find out from him just exactly how scorching it's going to be. John, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Mike. Sell scorch you. I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know. Hotter than Ibiza usually, or hotter than hotter than Malaga, hotter than Tenerife, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, probably drier than some of those places as well, because we've actually got the Spanish plume coming northwards. So.
Spanish plume?
Yeah, that's what they call it. You know, when it gets pretty warm at this end, it's normally air coming out of Spain and France. So the temperatures are rising in that neck of the woods, but there's also some rain down there. So if you get a postcard from somebody in Spain and Portugal, it's probably got raindrops all over it.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
so don't believe a word of what they say.
Well, what we're already seeing, certainly in London, is people walking around in shorts. They've got their T-shirts out. Well, and anything you can normally predict is that on Monday you'll see lots of people with lobster-like red faces on the tube.
Yeah, don't do themselves any good. I'll tell you one thing that makes my heart sink at this time of the year, John. It's first bit of sunshine, it comes out. Then all of a sudden, all these people rushing off to B&Q and, Tesco's and all that to buy the barbecues. Next minute, you've got, all these people pretending to be, I don't know, some great sort of, chef in their back gardens. And as far as I'm concerned, they're destroying the atmosphere by miscooking burgers.
You're talking about the ozone layer you're worried about.
Miscooking burgers, chickens and everything else. Doesn't contribute to the well-being of the summer, in my view.
No, that's absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. And it's also a fact that you're going to get these red lobsters going back to work on Monday or not.
Yes.
Because they'll all go on a sickie, won't they?
Of course they will.
So it's a terrible thing about Britain. When you get a hot spell early in the summer, or whatever you want to call this, late spring, then everybody goes bananas. They all go out there thinking it's not going to affect me, but you haven't had any sunshine or warm sunshine for about 8 months. It's quite a shock to the system, really.
Now, we always get blamed as well, John, down here because we happen to be in London, and it's in the national newspapers further as well. Yeah. They do this few what a scorcher thing, but it's not necessarily that hot in every other part of the country. We're off to Cardiff on Saturday. What's it going to be like down there?
Well, that's a good place to probably get a cooling down, because there are some thunderstorms now. Yeah, just off northwest France, there are some bursts of rain developing, and they're going to be moving up through probably parts of the West Country, Wales, into Ireland. But I think the wettest place is going to be Ireland on Friday night into Saturday morning. But there will be some more thunderstorms probably breaking out across the Midlands, other parts of Wales, up into northwest England later in the afternoon. So looking at the Premier League matches, for instance, tomorrow, Villa Park possibly is probably the one most likely to see some heavier bursts of rain, maybe Leicester as well. But if you go further
east... Just to cheer them up at Villa Park,
just to
the
really
weather's going to be horrible as well.
It's been a fantastic 10 months for them, hasn't it? And now they get wet on the final match. So there'll be no parade there anyway. But, talking about the weather not being the same everywhere, it isn't, because the winds are going to be coming in from the east through the weekend, which means anyway down the east coast. And it upsets the landladies down at Skegness and everywhere else, of course. But that's where there's a chillier breeze.
That's right. And what's the temperature been like over the Burnley area lately?
It's pretty good today. It's all right today. It's up around 19, 20 degrees. But it's going to be 23. It's about 23 today in places like the home counties, and also Middle Wallop. Now, that's a place that doesn't get a mention very often on TalkSport.
Not often enough, in my view.
No, I think it should be more, much more. But Middle Wallop on Salisbury Plain, that's a really nice warm day today. But I think over the next couple of days, it's probably going to be warmest of all on Sunday for a more widespread area of the country. country, and there will be 23 to 25, I would think, apart from that East Coast. But, even talking about the East Coast, it probably will be dry with lots of sunshine. It just needs to be, you need to be back off the shore.
Now, did you say there was going to be a bit of rain at Leicester as well? Because obviously they're going to have massive parades going on over the weekend.
Yeah, well, the massive parade at Burnley, of course, on Monday evening. That's the next one to go to. So you can all pack up from Leicester and then go off to Burnley on Monday.
Or, of course, you could go to Charlton and see whether or not Burnley are going to be allowed to lift the cup, because apparently there's some row about that going on.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
I didn't realise that.
They don't want to,
Well, apparently Charlton, a lot of people at Charlton are saying that they don't think it's right that Burnley should be able to lift the trophy because it's at their ground, even though it's the last game of the season.
Well, I don't think it's anything to do with Burnley, is it? It's to do with the Football League, isn't it?
Well, I suppose so. John, my other place is down on the coast in Gosport, so faces the Isle of Wight and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Somehow horrendous gales blowing there sometimes, the waves crashing in, but I like it. When can I expect a bit of...
well, you're not going to be there, are you?
Bit of rough weather. Well, it might be on Sunday. Bit of rough weather.
You really want rough weather?
Yeah.
He is a very miserable character, I have to say, John. I mean, he's a man who doesn't like the sun. He doesn't like to go out in the sun. He doesn't like to go on holiday. He's not a fan of the Mediterranean climate at all.
Yeah, well, I'm talking it up and you're talking it down. That's the problem.
Well,
so I'm going for these temperatures of 23 to 25. The wind will be off the English Channel down there, so you'll always feel like a little bit cooler. So that'll be nice for you, won't it, Mike? You'll enjoy that.
So.
And the thunderstorms are probably going to be more up country, so you'll miss all of that as well. So you've got a really boring weekend, I think.
Oh, well, never mind that. Now, John, I only had to try and help me with a problem which may or may not be your bag, but I don't know who else to turn to. I just recently bought a new bird bath for my home in Stockbroker Belt,
Surrey. This is the one that got knocked over by the pigeons.
Yeah. I haven't attracted any little finches yet.
How much was it? I don't think it was very expensive.
It was £37.
£37?
Yeah. I haven't attracted any little finches or starlings or anything like that. The only things that attracted so far are 2 pigeons that landed on at the same time, knocked it flying, knocked all the water out. Smashed it to pieces. What am I doing wrong?
I've no idea. It's not really my scene, that. But we do attract the birds into our garden. But pigeons can be a bit bullish.
Yeah.
They're a bit naughty, aren't they, really? But like robins are as well, I believe. We need Bill Oddie on, don't we, as well?
Well, what I was going to say is, you see, when can we expect...
People say you look a bit like Bill Oddie.
No. What I expect the birds to really need me and want me when we get a bit of a drought. So are we going to get that over the summer?
Yeah, well, it could well happen this year. We've had similar situations in previous years where we've had this, winter never really happened again. It wasn't that severe, was it? But it's dragged on a bit through spring. So we've had a fairly chilly, bit wet spring. And that sort of thing happened in 2006. So if you look at comparisons, and it's not a forecast, it's just a bit of fun, as I always say. If you look at a comparison with 2006, we had some very, very hot weather that year in July. So how about that? Everybody book a holiday in July at Gosport. How about that?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Right, mate. I'll keep my eye on that one. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed.
It's called forward planning.
Yeah, big celebrations in Burnley, big celebrations in Leicester, of course, coming up, but it might be a little bit damp by the sounds of things in Leicester. So if you're thinking of getting the barbecue tools out for the first barbecue of the season, then you shouldn't do it.
I was going to use the expression which has probably leapt to everybody's ears, and that is, who's going to be raining on Leicester's parade?
Well, yes.
Might
the
be
rain.
Everton, it might be the rain.
I don't think anyone can at this point. I mean, even if Everton won the game, I don't think the Leicester fans are going to care, are they?
No, I don't think they are.
I mean, I think they're going to have... It's going to be a great party atmosphere.
I think the game's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's going to be a wonderful party atmosphere, and no matter what, you'd like to think for the sort of proper fairy tale style ending that Jamie Vardy will score the winning goal.
Yeah.
And I think he probably will.
And I hope he does.
And you wouldn't bet against him doing it.
No, you wouldn't bet against it, and I hope it finishes like that for them. I wish I was in their shoes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure they wish you were in their shoes as well, even though they'd be a lot smaller. This is Talk Sport. Stirring anything in your ancestral blood?
Well, it's not my ancestral blood, is it? Because I'm not Welsh.
Well, I don't know. You keep saying you're Welsh. You're not Welsh. Who knows?
No, I've never said that. What I've said is that although I'm 100% Anglo-Saxon English and have been for at least 7 generations, there is no doubt that the name Parry is a Welsh derivative, because whenever I've driven through some little Welsh villages, towns or whatever, in pursuit of my early days as a top reporter on the Daily Express in Manchester.
Is this an answer to one question?
Yes, you would see Parry the bread, Parry the milk, Parry the fish, Parry the meat, Parry the undertaker.
Parry the plank.
Well, I'm not going to respond to that,
The DIY shop.
You can't take these
That'd
things
be great,
seriously.
wouldn't it? You could start a whole chain. Now, as you know, we go to the Tram Shed in Cardiff on Saturday night. We will be doing a show there. We're heading down to Cardiff tomorrow now. So what has happened in order to commemorate that is we're going to test your knowledge of Wales, specifically Welsh music.
Right, okay. Yeah, I don't mind
so
that.
the
That's
guys
good.
behind
I know
the
all
glass,
about it.
they're very talented guys. That doesn't mean you should be singing. It does not mean you should be singing.
Okay.
What you're going to have to do is not only identify the artist, but you also have to identify the song, okay?
Okay.
You'll hear 5 songs.
Right.
And the first one is right here.
Yep.
What do you reckon of that one is then?
The guy's name's Joe.
Joe?
Yeah.
Joe who?
I don't know, but I'll think about it in a second. Joe, and it was... And his song, his best ever song was "Make Me and Break Me and Take Me an Island Tonight."
What?
That was it. No, that was his.
I've never heard of it.
That was his big hit song.
Was it?
And that one, I know. When God created a woman for me. When God created a woman for me, he must have been in a beautiful mood. And he used to move around like this with his microphone.
And his name is Joe.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the song, isn't it? Got the right song.
You've got the wrong song.
I haven't.
And you've got the wrong artist.
No.
Would you like to hear the chorus of the song?
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Just help yourself to my lips, to my arms, just say the word.
Yeah, that's the same song.
That's Tom Jones.
Oh, it's Tom Jones. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Okay.
The song is called Help Yourself. It's one of the biggest Tom Jones songs of all time.
Yeah, well,
this is not sounding good. Can you tell us where Tom Jones was born, at least?
Yes.
Go on.
He was born in Pontypridd.
Correct.
Thank you.
Well done.
Woo, 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 woo. Get a point for that.
You don't get anything. There's no points here. It's,
Yeah,
it's just really an exposition of your ignorance. Let's have the next one, please.
I know that.
You can't not get this one.
I know.
It's not Joe.
No, it's not Joe.
No, who
Do you know
is
who
it?
that is?
Go on, tell me.
Shaky. It's
yeah,
Shaky.
go on. Give me you're only going to give me one name.
Right, Shaking Stevens.
Correct.
And I can do you this.
All right.
There's an old piano and I play it hard behind the green door.
Very good. Let's hear the real version.
Thank you.
Very good. You've redeemed yourself. Now, do you know where he was born?
He was born in Swansea.
Cardiff.
Cardiff, yeah.
So you've messed up. You've blotted your copybook. Right, next one, please. You've got no chance with this.
Take it to the verse now.
That's now that's like a modern group.
Modern group.
Yeah.
What? When you say modern, what? Post 1973.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
And I reckon that was, I know, and that's a Welsh girl singer, right?
I can't give you any clues.
Yeah, Welsh girl singer. I know who that is.
Go on.
That's
Have to hurry you.
Who's Sinead? Who is she?
Sinead?
Yeah.
Sinead O'Connor?
No, it's not her, no.
She's been in the news lately.
No, hang on, she was Welsh,
She's
wasn't
getting
she?
sued. No, she's Irish.
Oh, she's Irish, was she? Okay.
And it's
right.
Sinead.
Okay, no, it wasn't Sinead. I reckon that was... I know who it was. It was Bonnie Tyler.
Incorrect.
No!
Shall we have the rest of the song, please?
You got me begging you for mercy.
You want to take a stab at the song? No, the name of the song?
Mercy.
Well done.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I get it.
You're like a chimp, aren't you?
Did I get it?
No, you got the song name right, but the singer is Duffy.
Duffy. Yeah,
Duffy.
I knew it was something like that. Yeah,
Something
Duffy.
like that, yeah.
Stupid name.
Modern group. Why
Stupid,
is it a
really.
name?
Well, who's called Duffy?
Well,
Why is she called Duffy?
Well, I don't know.
She walked around with a duffel bag.
Any idea where she was born?
Or a duffel coat. Eh?
Any idea where she was born?
She was born in...
It's not Duffel, her name. It's Duffy.
Cumbran.
Not bad. It's Gwynedd.
Oh, well, there you go.
In
you
Wales.
see. Yeah.
Right, next one. He won't have seen the film that this was used in either, so that won't help you.
Why?
Well, if I told you, it wouldn't make any difference, would it?
Well, how do you know I haven't seen the film?
Because you haven't seen any films.
I've seen lots of films.
Have you seen Crash?
Crash?
Yeah.
Is that the one where they get on a bus and the guy says, keep driving at 50 miles an hour until I tell you to stop?
That's
okay,
Speed.
Yeah, well, something like that.
It wasn't in Speed, but it was in Crash.
Right, okay. That was the Manic Street Preachers.
Incorrect.
No.
It was not the Manic Street Preachers.
Who was it then?
It was the Stereophonics.
Well, that's the same sort of thing, if you know what I mean. It was that era of Welsh music.
That era. Do you want to play the rest of it?
Okay.
What do you think the title of it is?
Tomorrow. You're laughing up. That sounds like Rod Stewart, anyway.
What?
Sounds like Rod Stewart.
It does not.
It does. It's exactly the same
Funny
voice
enough,
as
they
Rod
did
Stewart.
do Handbags and Glad Rags.
Well, there you go. Told you.
It's maybe tomorrow. So if I was giving you points, I'd only give you about a quarter of a point. Any idea where the Stereophonics come from?
Yes, they come from the Rhondda Valley.
They come from a place near Aberdare, which is...
That's in the Rhondda Valley.
Cwmbran, I think it's pronounced.
Cwmbran. I said Cwmbran.
No, not Cwmbran. It's not the same place. It's different.
It
Now, to try and show that you know something about Welsh music, because so far I think you've only got, 1.5 points out of a possible 4.
No.
Have a listen to this.
I said that Tom Jones came from Pontypridd. Known to me.
Yeah.
Stay around. Every now and then I get a little bit of feeling.
A little bit of what?
Staying around.
I don't think those are the words.
It's Bonnie Tyler.
It is Bonnie
Stay
Tyler.
with me, is it? Stay with me. We like a bit of feeling. Choir from the Rhondda Valley.
Have you got their greatest hits?
No, but
why not?
You know, but my father introduced me to them years ago.
Really?
Mm.
I bet they were thrilled. This is Talk Sport. With just 5 weeks to go until the start of UEFA Euro 2016, H&J will be talking to European football expert Andy Brassel next week to look at how Belgium is shaping up for the tournament with
Indeed.
Toolstation. Visit toolstation.com and click and collect from over 220 UK branches to get the job done. Now, of course, the season isn't over yet because there's still quite a few honours and battles to be fought. And tonight, one of the bigger ones in the Championship, Middlesbrough taking on Brighton.
Wow.
Tomorrow, I should say. Sorry. Middlesbrough have got to just get a draw, I think, to get themselves promoted automatically.
Yep.
And Brighton have got to get a win. Let's talk to the Moose and find out what we can expect. Moose, a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm actually driving up to Middlesbrough this afternoon for the game tomorrow. Matchday Live, me and Adrian Durham from midday in the game, which is basically a playoff final. Before the playoff final, it's a game that they're saying is the richest in history, worth £170 million minimum.
Absolutely incredible, isn't it? And I mean, Brighton have done particularly well this season, haven't they? But do you think they can nick it up there in Middlesbrough? I mean, Middlesbrough just need a draw, don't they?
Yeah, Middlesbrough need a draw or a win. Brighton need a win. They're the calculations. Brighton looking to get into the top flight for the first time in 33 years. Since remember Jimmy Media took them to the FA Cup final with Manchester United. They got relegated that year as well. And they're looking to follow clubs like Swansea and Bournemouth as well in being in the 4th division or the bottom tier of English football and then making it up to the Premier League. So they're looking to try and be only the third to do that. They were 20th last year, just about survived. Chris Hughton came in after a terrible season under Sami Hyypiä. Middlesbrough, they were in the playoff final last year. They arrived late at Wembley. I think that's what cost them. They didn't show up really on the day, lost to Norwich 2-0. So it's really up for grabs. Two sides who have been fantastic this season. I mean, you've actually got to feel sorry for the losers tomorrow because to get the thick end of 90 points, get 88, 89 points, and not be promoted is so tough. And then you've got to go into the playoffs.
Yeah, but don't we expect, Moose, I was going to say to you, don't we expect the loser of this game, or the loser in terms of who goes up automatically, to be a big favourite to then go through in the playoffs?
No, I don't, actually. I think it could work the other way, Mike.
Really?
I do. I mean, imagine having played, the 46 games, the slog that everyone knows the Championship is.
Yeah.
I mean, Brighton started the season 22 unbeaten. Middlesbrough are currently on a roll of 9 unbeaten. They've both been fantastic, but no team has scored more goals this season in the Championship than Brighton. No team in the whole 4 divisions has kept more clean sheets than Middlesbrough. The stats are just unbelievable. And then to have to go into what is a cup competition, a lottery of the playoffs, when you've got Hull may have underperformed, but they have a Premier League squad, make no bones about that. Derby, many people in the Championship have told me, many players and managers have told me Derby actually has the best squad in the entire Championship. And then you've got Sheffield Wednesday, who've also had a fantastic season. I don't think that whoever loses tomorrow is favourite to go up. I think really it's a real lottery of from those 4 teams.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from in terms of psychology.
It might knock the wind out of them.
Yeah.
So, and also, it is kind of, I mean, you would say this anyway, I suppose, but it can be seen to be a bit unfair, can't it, with Middlesbrough and Brighton so far ahead of Hull in 4th place. I mean, at the moment, 8 points ahead. You know, it doesn't feel like it's a sort of it's a fair crack of the whip for everyone.
No, but I mean, that's the glorious nature of the playoffs, and very, you know, not very often does the third team actually go up. Sometimes, you know, it can be the team from, you know, 5th or 6th in the championship, but, you know, they're the rules at the start of the season. The one thing I would say is that the two sides, whoever doesn't make it, I think that, you know, with respect to Hull, I know people up there, respect to, you know, Derby and also Sheffield Wednesday, I think most people would say that they would like to see whoever loses tomorrow get promoted. I mean, Borough has been in this position before. They were 90 minutes from the Premier League last year in the playoff final. Brighton, although they've been in 2 playoff semi-finals in the last 3 years, they've never been 90 minutes away from the Premier League. This is unheralded territory for them. And 2 managers that are very different. Aitor Karanka is very quiet. I mean, last time I saw Borough, they lost 2-0 at Charlton. And that was the weekend, you may remember, boys, when Aitor Karanka had walked out on Borough. And he didn't travel with the team. And everyone thought, right, he's definitely going to leave the club. Rumours of a split in the dressing room. He came back, and since then they've been unbeaten. And Chris Hughton, who's been promoted twice before with Norwich and with Newcastle, I think everybody would admit one of the nicest blokes in football. So it's going to be a very, very difficult day tomorrow for those 2 guys, and a very different day for TalkSport, because I think I'm right in saying Adrian will correct you at 4 o'clock. It's the first time really that Matchday Live on a Saturday afternoon, when there's been a full Premier League programme, has based itself at a championship game. That's how big tomorrow is.
And definitely. I mean, I don't want to take sides on this. Middlesbrough have been in the Premier League, you know, a lot during my life. But I remember the last time Brighton were in the top flight, Moose. They played at the Goldstone ground, and I went down there to see Everton play them. And then on one night, the wind blew the roof off the Goldstone ground. And that was the end of Brighton. Seriously.
Do you remember the scene they had? They had Jimmy Meader took them to the cup final in a helicopter. Do you remember?
In his white shoes.
Absolutely. Gary Stevens, who used to work for us at TalkSport, he scored the goal, the equalising goal.
That's right.
They had Tony Grealish, Jimmy Grealish, who was playing in the team. Yeah. They also had Brian Horton. Do you remember Brian Horton? Who played
of course I do.
Midfield as well. They had a really fantastic team. I think I'm right in saying that the man who started the season as the manager of QPR was the young left back who played in that cup final, Chris Ramsey.
I think you're right.
There you go.
And one of the most famous bits of commentary, everyone says, that, without doubt, the most famous bit of commentary ever is Jeff Hurst going through and scoring the 4th goal. You know, people on the pitch, I think he's all over it is now. I think the second most famous bit of commentary is either Michael Thomas at Anfield, it's up for grabs
That's
now,
right.
or the one in the last minute of the cup final.
He must score!
Exactly. Gordon Smith.
Gordon Smith.
He must score. And he scuffed it at Gary
Of course,
Gillespie.
famously did. He's still haunted by that Gordon Smith. I have to tell you. Now, the other thing about this game as well, right, is if Middlesbrough or Brighton get 3 points, they actually go through as the winners of the championship, don't they? So, I mean, whatever happens...
Well, no, let's Burnley win at Charlton.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what I mean. They could... What I'm saying is they could. I mean, it's not all over yet, because Burnley, who are currently having a bit of a row with Charlton, I understand, as to whether or not they're allowed to pick up the trophy if they get it. But, I mean, if they don't win, and Middlesbrough do or Brighton do, then they're not the champions anyway.
No, I mean, this could be a real headache, actually, for the Football League. I mean, you know, what do? Do you have 2 trophies around, one at the Valley and one at the Riverside? Do you have no trophies around? So, therefore, when does a team actually get their trophy? Will it be when they have an open top bus parade? I remember in Scotland a few years ago, they had a similar situation. I think Rangers and Celtic were going for the league, and one was at home and one was away, and they were miles and miles apart. And at half-time, they still weren't sure, and the helicopter was, like, kind of flying between the 2 venues with the trophy. I mean, Middlesbrough to the Valley. Well, I'm making the journey from London today. I'm just gone past Peterborough. And let me tell you, it says 252 miles. I didn't even know there were 252 miles in this country. I mean, I rarely go outside of Watford, you know.
Get a nosebleed.
No, the lovely lady that allocates our games, Kay Townsend, who's actually a Brighton fan, let me tell you, knows that, you know, going outside of Watford is seriously damaging to my health. And when I told the Middlesbrough press officer I was coming up for this game, he said, well, we must get the red carpet out, because this is going to be a...
No, they just horrified at the amount of food they've got to put out for you, because you overeat. That's why you look like Mr. Blobby.
I've been told I've got to eat a Parmo or something when I'm in Middlesbrough, but I have no idea what this thing is. I mean, anyway, Does anybody know what a parmo
Well, I
is?
mean, Mike Parry spent a great deal of his formative journalistic career in Newcastle, so I'm sure you must know what a Middlesbrough sort of delicacy is.
I've no idea. It's a long way from Middlesbrough, Newcastle. I know what a stoddy cake is and all that, but I've no idea, Moose.
Cake?
Yeah, stoddy cake is a northeast delicacy, and
I think it's some kind of fast food affair that's a bit like a calzone or something like that.
I thought you said a snotty cake, and the amount of coffee this afternoon.
Excuse me, no. Stotty. But whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If people put in front of you a cardboard box with nothing in it, you devour it, so it doesn't matter.
Very harsh.
Well, I was going to say, to use one of your famous cliches, are you on Mars?
Thank you very much indeed. Moose just past Peterborough, nowhere near Mars. Maybe you could help him out and tweet him.
When he gets to Middlesbrough, you know what the traffic cops are going to say? Well, keep going!
Yeah, he'll stop a couple of times on the way before he gets there, obviously, because he'll have to sort of carbo load up.
Sure.
This is TalkSport. Don't forget to follow the Two Mics, at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
As somebody who walks into a room, and to give the image of, what a cheery soul I am, they're whistling, I feel like knocking all the teeth out. Operations have been required to correct serious damage to the kidney, the scrotum and the penis.
What?
You'd be standing at the bar and all of a sudden he'd be thinking about something and he'd go...
Well, don't do it on the microphone. It sounds horrendous. What's the title?
I know, The Unexpected Thing in the Mind. No, what's it called? Why don't people have head suitcases that they can wear on top of their head?